You sit yourself up, hovering over Crowe, and there you see the very same man that made you cry by literally doing nothing. He looks so pretty here. Gosh dang it. So why can't there be a thing where we all just get along? Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. I am Espoir du Vide, and a long time ago I played a game called The Kid at the Back. But now there's been a major update, and it's actually been quite a while since I've played this, and I've kinda forgotten a lot of stuff. So why not just start from the beginning? See what's new, see what's changed, and get a little refresher on everything. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden lived there whom you may know by the name of Annabel Lee. Oh, day one, the beloved. Whomst is this Annabel Lee? Whomst is this beloved? And class dismissed. By our next meeting, I need a full report on everyone's poem that they've chosen. I won't accept one paragraph. I need 2 whole pages filled with words. Everyone got that? I'm looking at you, at the guy who double spaces all of his papers. The classroom broke into a series of "Yes, Professor," while some spared no time in packing their things, eager to be dismissed and disregarding the teacher altogether. Was that little heart always up there? Look at that! Look at that! Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's neat, that's cute. He blinked, and then he blinked. Cute, that's neat, I like that. I like that. Your literature teacher packs up her own things and exits the classroom. The moment your literary teacher left, the classroom broke into small groups as each student gathered up to meet with their respective cliques. Some engaged in conversation, while some spared no time in exiting the classroom. A yawn escaped your lips. You turn your head and observe the clouds outside. The clouds are shaded in dark gray. The sky's once blue color is now turning the same lighter shade of gray. The looming threat of rain made you click your tongue in irritation. Just my luck. I didn't bother to bring an umbrella, too. Standing up from your seat, you were about to grab your bag when you felt a tap on your shoulder. My cool Garu friend! Turning around, you came face to face with cobalt blue eyes, her blonde hair shaped like swirls with its ends dyed in blue and pink, complementing her entire ensemble, even if it was just a white button-up that clearly looks too small for her. Hot pink jacket tied around her waist and the school's black skirt. Her hand, which you assumed was the same one that tapped your shoulder, hung up in the air. She seemed unsure whether to continue or not, judging by the way her eyebrows furrowed downward while biting her glossed lower lip. She's so pretty! I want to go shopping with her. She turned slightly, her head not fixed on you, but rather on whoever is behind her. You hear her whisper something under her breath, before eventually composing herself and turning her focus solely on you now. Hey, you're going to lunch with us, right? I mean, you should. I don't usually see you in the cafeteria often, so you must not be eating properly. How can you keep up with classes looking like that? Excuse me? You took a step back, clenching the strap of your bag as you glare at the blonde woman before you. Who was this woman? Who does she think she is? Oh, do we not know her yet? Are we not the bestest of friends yet? Judging from the woman's expression, she finally came to realize the words that came out of her mouth. Brittany! A familiar voice interrupted the two of you. You turned your head to where the voice was, and there stood none other than your old friend. That's really insensitive of you. Imagine if someone else told you about how you look. I mean, aside from her buttons holding on for dear life, she's very pretty. His familiar orbs are azure blue, nearly replicating lapis lazuli's, and his chocolate brown hair tied loosely in a low braid. sun-kissed skin enhanced his handsome features, adorned with a black long-sleeved button-up and an indigo vest to add to his clean look. It's really hard to choose him over Soul. He's known as Jericho Ichabod. Crowe for short, the class representative and a close friend of yours. Well, the only close friend you have. Crowe made his way to your side with a hand on his hip. He reprimands the blonde-haired woman next to you, and the said woman just shrugged her shoulders. He placed a hand over your beating heart. The close proximity between you two caused a blush to appear on your cheeks. No matter how many times you get close to him, or him getting near you, you'll never get used to it. His whole aura just gives a warm feeling in you, the butterflies in your stomach thrashing and raging, begging to be released. Yeah, you may have a bit of a crush on him. I mean, I don't blame you. The woman named Brittany just rolled her eyes, seemingly used to Crowe's reprimands. Well, you're the one who insisted on me initiating talk. You could have done it more nicely, you know. Like a simple invite alone. Crowe gives you a small smile while handing out something to you. You look down to see it. It was your ID. Whoops. You dropped this, by the way. I am espoir, means hope in French. I am from the family of Duvide. The ID shows my name, Espoir Duvide, along with my pronouns. Espoir Duvide, pronouns she, her. That doesn't seem right. Maybe my eyes are itching. Nah, it's fine. That's fine. Your fingers briefly brushed against his. You bit your lip, then muttered a small thank you before pocketing your school ID. Crowe gives you a closed-eyed smile, returning his own thank you, then turns his attention back towards Brittany. Brittany, when are we going to be best friends? But not that best friends. Following up behind Brittany are 3 more people. The tallest of the 3 is a sporty-looking man, clad in a green and yellow jersey with the number 10 settled in front. His eyes are a bright green, the color that kind of reminds you of green apples. His skin is a beautiful brown that nearly matches his curly hair, while a stubble is nestled on his chin, indicating his maturity. The second tallest is a man in a purple hoodie. His eyes are sharp and slanted with long lashes. He's so pretty! I want those earrings! Adorned with teal-colored orbs underneath. His hair, straight and styled into a hime cut, save for a short strand tied with a red ribbon, and a low ponytail bound with the same shade of red behind him. He looks uninterested with what's going around at the very moment. And the last, but not the least, is the shortest of the 3, maybe within the group as well. Her skin pale, her face dotted with a few freckles then and there, as rectangular-shaped frames shield away orange orbs. She's so cute! She's cute as a button! I'll pick her up, put her in my pocket. Her hair is short and loose in waves. She wears a black button-up under an orange vest and a black skirt matching Brittany's. Dang, Britt, you sure are bad at socializing. Hey, Joe, seems like you have some competition. The tall jock clad in a yellow and green sports jersey lets out a loud laugh, causing some students to turn to look at him. Brittany's face grew red from embarrassment. Gritting her teeth, she crossed her arms while tapping her foot on the ground. This only made the jock laugh even harder. Shut the fluff up, Daryl. You're causing a scene. Also, if you were me, you would have done just as badly. That is, in fact, not true. I'm a lovable guy. Oh, yeah? As the 2 argue, you turn your head towards the other tall male in a hoodie. Sensing your gaze, he looks down at you, his hand still in his hoodie's pocket. A sudden chill went down your spine. You quickly averted your gaze away from the imposing male and landing on the meek girl in orange right beside Brittany. She hasn't spoken since she arrived with the 2 males, but judging from how attached she is to Brittany, you're guessing she's closer with her than the rest of the group. She kind of reminds you of yourself when you were still new to the school with no one to talk to. Not until Crowe befriended you, of course. Oh, so we met at the school. It's a good thing I don't remember much about the other game. Were you as clingy to Crowe back then as she is with Brittany now? Sorry. You're kind of a rowdy bunch, huh? I hope you're not too overwhelmed. They sure are something. Look, Espoir, you're still free not to join us for lunch if you're uncomfortable. Meeting new people is overwhelming. I just wanted to let you know that I respect your feelings and that you matter, Espoir. Crowe reassures you with a worried smile on his lips. You turn back to the group. The tall jock named Daryl now bothering Geo with an arm around his shoulder. The visible irritation on Geo's face did nothing to sway Daryl's happy-go-lucky personality. You must like him, Geo. That's why you haven't killed him yet. Brittany leans on one of the desks with her arms crossed, striking a conversation with the bespectacled girl next to her. What's her name? I didn't seem to catch it last time. Crowe glanced at where you were pointing. Ah, Jessie? You can call her Jess for short. She's best friends with Brittany. She kind of reminds me of you back when we first met. All shy and quiet. Only that you're cuter. Crowe pinches your cheek playfully, and you groan, but your mock annoyance is betrayed by the small smile that forms on your lips. How time flies, huh? That's right. You got yourself acquainted with Crowe in your sophomore year. Before you left for the city, your father emphasized the importance of having companions and establishing friendships, most especially in this college. Olympias University. Olympias? The largest university in Titan City. It is known for having the best facilities and best education, where you're guaranteed to rise from the bottom to the top. Well, that's what the advertisement tells you. Is this a for-profit college? You tried getting to know people during your first year, but to no avail. No matter how much you try to make friends, you just couldn't seem to bring yourself to talk to anyone. And, to your dismay, no one seems to bother to even befriend you. Sure, you would talk with a few classmates for projects, but nothing goes beyond that. As if they're scared of you. Or more like, disgusted. You could never tell. The looks you received have all been mixed signals, some bad, some out of pity. That is, until Crowe came into the picture. Among everyone, Crowe was the sole person who approached you with the intention of friendship. It's gonna be real painful when I flirt with Soul over him. You were wary of him at first. Why would someone want to befriend you out of nowhere? Your past experiences caused you suspicion. You've had a history with people who tried to earn your good graces because you were somehow beneficial to them. You thought Crowe would be the same case too, so you ignored him. But then he kept following you, trying to strike a conversation with you every now and then. You tried to dismiss him, ignoring his presence as usual, but Crowe was determined to break down your walls and kept insisting on tagging along until it annoyed you once. Just once. That is, until it happened on the last day of your first semester in your sophomore year. You fell victim to one of the school's biggest hidden flaws. If Crowe wasn't there to stop them, you could not begin to imagine what might have happened to you. Oh! Thank goodness you're unharmed. You're concerned about me? How about you? You're the one who's hurt. Thinking back, you thought he was crazy and stupid. Taking blow after blow until the perpetrators got bored and left the both of you. Well, that's the whole point, right? As long as you're not hurt, this is nothing. You're crazy. You know that? And he just laughs it off, wincing due to the bruises on his face. I never got your name, crazy person. It's Jericho. Jericho Ichabod. But just call me Crowe. Nice to meet you, Crowe. I'm Espoir. You brought him to the clinic that day and became inseparable ever since. Right after that incident, Crowe promised to never get in fights again and continues to keep his word on it. You really owe it to him. You look back up at Crowe. He tilts his head. Something on your mind, Espoir? Nothing. Just happy that you're my friend. He looked at you with raised eyebrows, probably surprised at how random your thoughts seem. He didn't say anything as he let your words sink in, and his usual gentle smile appeared on his face. Crowe inched closer to you, indicating that he feels the same way. Aww. Brittany must have taken notice of the amount of time wasted in talking and arguing as she turns to you one last time. We've talked a little bit too much. We'll end up not getting any seats if we keep this up. So, are you coming with us or not? Caught up in your little daydream about the past, Brittany finally spoke up, catching your attention. You looked back at Crowe, recalling his words. Don't force yourself to join if you're still uncomfortable. You then decided to, I think I will go with them. Like I chose the first time I played, I will go with them. I will save, and then we'll go with them. Let's go, buddies. Brittany hummed a sound of content before turning on her heels and heading towards the classroom's exit, her 3 other friends following behind her. Crowe looks back at you by the door, waiting for you. Catching up, you raise your head to meet his azure orbs once more. Your heartbeat quickens within your ribcage in response. He's so pretty. Be quiet, Brittany. I'm getting lost in his eyes. You two, stop ogling at each other and hurry up. Brittany's exclamation made you both jump. You merely looked down, using your hair as a curtain to hide your reddened face. Crowe just rubbed the back of his neck. You two eventually followed behind Brittany and the rest of the group towards the cafeteria. The cafeteria is loud and crowded. Tables are filled with students, while the rest are lined up by the counter grabbing their lunches. A groan escaped Brittany's lips as she looks around for any signs of a vacant table you all could share. We were dilly-dallying so long that we don't have a table now. Oh, what a great time to not bring lunch, huh? Next time, I'm preparing my lunch the night before. I wonder why it's so crowded today. No lunch menu, perhaps?
It seems like it.
We'll be left with nothing else if we keep standing around here and loiter. Hey, Gio, Daryl.
Oh, yes. What is it, Your Royal Majesty?
Daryl cooed with a teasing tone. Brittany rolled her eyes at his silly gesture. Could you two look for a vacant spot while the rest of us line up? Saves us time that way.
Yeah, sure, Britt. Let's go, Gio.
Wrapping an arm around Gio's shoulder, while ignoring his obvious irritation from the said male, the two walked away in hopes of looking for an unoccupied table. Gio hasn't said one word yet. Brittany then turns to you. Oh, right, Espoir. I'm not sure if you had packed anything like those two did, but if you want to line up with us or go help them find a table, make a choice. You decided that I think I brought my own lunch last time. Let's buy my lunch. I don't know if I ever chose that. I kind of like school lunch. Just glad I don't go there no more. I'll buy. All right, then. Daryl, Gio, go find us some seats while we line up. Daryl waved Brittany away, mouthing, I got it, before turning around with Gio. The jock's arm wrapped around his grumpy friend's shoulder, dismissing the visible annoyance on Gio's face. Come on, Jess, let's get in line. Yes, of course. You may go first, Britt. Adorable. With haste, Jess trails behind Brittany. Let's get in line as well before more people start piling up. We don't want to end up with the bad stuff, don't we, Espoir? You can say that again. You shuddered at the thought, remembering the leftovers from the school cafeteria. With a nod, you and Crowe made it in line with the rest of the student body. While you were lining up, Crowe turns his attention back to you. I'm glad you decided to come with us, Espoir. I know it may seem selfish of me to drag you along, but there are new friends now. I hope you don't mind. It's fine. I don't know or say nothing? I mean, it's fine. We can get to know each other. Say nothing. You said nothing, but bit your lower lip. Your silence caused Crowe to furrow his eyebrows, but he didn't utter a single word. Are we not cool with them yet? Once everyone got their food, Brittany turned her heel and walked towards where Daryl and Gio were seated. Move your butt, Daryl. Move your butt aside, Daryl. I'm sitting there.
Oh! The queen has been stained!
A loud gasp escaped Brittany's lips, her mouth open in wide shock. The food on her tray is now splattered across her white uniform. Brittany! Oops, sorry about that. You should have watched where you're going there.
It's the Powerpuff Girls!
Multiple footsteps came near. A trio of girls showed themselves before you. The tallest of the bunch, the red-haired one, placed a hand over to where her heart is and lets out a mocking gasp at the mess. Brittany's eyes met with the red-haired bully. Why? We're all adults here. We're in college. Why you bully people? Don't you know you're going to have to start paying taxes soon? Judging from the way Brittany's face twisted with rage, they seemed to know each other. Britt, are you all right? We should get yourself cleaned.
You! Let him have it! Let him have it, Britt!
You! Fluffing biscuit! This is my only clean uniform. How fluffing dare you? Oh, look at Miss Claire all flared up. Careful there, sweetie, you'll get wrinkles. It's not like you're not ugly already.
Oh! How dare they say this to the queen?
The mean girl coos at Brittany. Her two friends behind her laugh along with her antics. You've got a bad feeling about this. The entire cafeteria breaks in a few murmurs and whispers, their attention now fixated on the group of girls. Some stopped eating, while some took out their phones, ready to film whatever happens next. Crowe tried to come in between them to stop the fight, but he wasn't fast enough. Ugh. Next thing we knew, another loud gasp was heard. Oh no. A wide smile etched itself on Brittany's face. The mean girl's white uniform now smeared with varieties of wet sauces and oils, matching Brittany's own dirtied uniform. Jess's face filled with shock. The food from her tray is now gone. Aw! Take that, crap stain! You fluffing biscuit!
Food fight! And me just holding a book over my head, hunched down aren't we adults? We gotta pay taxes soon!
The moment Daryl howled those words, the cafeteria went into a hectic frenzy. Food and drinks started flying across the area as each student started tossing whatever they could get their hands on. Are those trays? Uh-oh.
Ow! Espoir! Everyone stop this madness at once!
A sudden wave of pain made its way to your head, and the last thing you saw was Crowe calling out your name before passing out.
Ow! My noggin!
Where am I?
Oh, you're awake. Thank goodness.
Crowe? You tried to sit up, but a sudden shot of pain stopped you. You reached out to touch where the ache was coming from, but Crowe stopped you by holding onto your wrist.
Careful now. The nurse already bandaged your head. Don't push yourself.
Crowe gently pushed you back down on the medical bed. He takes a lone stroll and takes a seat right next to you. What happened? Did somebody get the license plate of that tray that hit me?
Well, after Daryl started that mess of a food fight, the principal was called in to stop it. Daryl got lucky enough to escape when he did. Gio was nowhere to be seen. As for Brittany...
What about her?
Well, Jess helped her grab a new uniform from the principal's office.
Then why does my head hurt so much?
Someone, somehow, threw a tray, and you were unfortunate enough to get hit by it. Thankfully, I got you out of there before things got ugly.
Thanks, Crowe. I owe you one.
I'm always here for you, Espoir. Never forget that. Anyway, it's around 1:45 in the afternoon right now. I should probably head back to my next class. You should stay here until the nurse gets back. You'll be all right alone here, right?
You wanted to say no, but stopped yourself before you could. Yes, you can go ahead.
You sure?
Yes, I'll be fine, Crowe. You've done enough for me today. You gave him a small smile, but he did not return it. Crowe squeezes your hand, quite hesitant to let you go. Eventually, he loosened his grip. He stands up from the chair and walks towards the exit. But before you could leave, he turned around and gave you one last smile, eventually closing the door and going out of the infirmary. You groaned and laid back down on the bed, feeling the bandage on your head. At least the pain is slowly dying a bit. Hope it didn't leave a mark on my head. You're guessing you came face to face with the edges of one of the metallic trays. Ah! Since when did trays hurt that much? Then again, there were athletes in the area, Daryl being one of them. Just then, you heard the door opening, the nurse's voice echoing through the room as the clicking of her heels got louder as she drew closer. The school nurse entered, and following her was a tall student dressed in black. He seems to be holding onto his left hand. Aww. You can see the red streak of blood overflowing. They didn't, give him a towel to wrap that in or anything? That looks bad. He sure has it worse than me. I wonder what happened. You should be thankful you didn't cut a vein. How were they able to get past with that pocket knife in the first place? The nurse sighed. It seemed like she got her hands full with another student. The latter, however, didn't say anything as he let out a small hiss when the nurse dabbed some disinfectant on his wound. You sat up slowly, careful not to hit your head on anything else, before stealing a glance at the student and the nurse. Your eyes met with reddish-orange ones. Your heart raced as you felt your heartbeat quicken. What an unusual color. They remind me of the setting sun. Oh! The nurse finishes up wrapping around his wound, a blotch of red slowly seeping out and staining the once white bandage. However, his gaze is still fixated on you. The nurse follows his line of sight and finally takes notice of your conscious figure. Oh, you're finally awake, Miss David. She approached you with a bottle of painkillers she took from one of the transparent cabinets on the walls before handing a pill to you. How are you feeling, dear? Does your head still hurt? Yeah! It's slowly dissipating, ma'am. Thank you. She hands you the pill, and you take it down your throat. You're free to stay here for a while longer, Miss David, but you need to return to your class as soon as you're feeling better. You gave the nurse a nod. She, in return, hums in approval before going back to the taller male in black. As for you, Mr. Brugmansia, if ever your bandage gets dirty throughout the day, don't hesitate to come back here and I'll reapply it with a new roll. The taller male hummed. He turned on his heels and made his way towards the exit door before pausing. I'll return to my class now. Thanks for patching me up, nurse. The tall student gives you one last look with his fiery red eyes before making his exit with the click of the door. The nurse lets out a sigh, rubbing her temples, feeling a headache surfacing. You want some of these pills, nurse? I swear that child comes here every other day. Him? Oh, you're not classmates with Mr. Brugmansia? Odd. I thought he might know you from the way he was looking at you. No, I haven't seen him around. More like you never bothered to look who's around you, since no one would even bother to spare a glance at you. Well, either way, don't get into much trouble like him, all right? That raises a question in your head. Just how bad were the guy's injuries that he comes to the nurse's office almost every other day? It kind of explains why she's been sighing hard ever since she brought the tall male into her office. With an injury as bad as a near stab wound in the palm, you could only take a wild guess. And as much as you are curious to know what transpired, you're nearly late for your next class. Eyeing the clock on top of the doorframe, you got out of the medical bed. You thanked the nurse and made your way out of her office. Barely making it to your next class, you slid the classroom door open, earning you a few looks from the students inside the room. "Which one of you beamed me with a tray?" Turning to the podium, you exhaled a breath you didn't realize you were holding when you realized that your teacher was still absent. Fixing your composure, you scanned the room. A few easels and shelves filled with brushes and bottles stained with acrylic paint guaranteed that you made it to the right class. You make your way to your seat. Once settled down, you groan, placing your elbows on the desk and resting your chin on top of your hands, waiting patiently for your professor's arrival. Though you couldn't help but notice the feeling of someone staring at you. You shook it off, thinking that it must have been the lack of sleep, or the near concussion. You look out of the window. Or maybe it's the cold weather. Hearing the classroom door open, your art professor makes his way inside, his large round belly standing out, round spectacles sitting on top of his nose, and a stereotypical brown beret on his head. Art exhibit project featuring various eras of art as part of our thesis. This time we're tasked with expressionism. Remember, this is all part of your paper, and not to mention making a name for yourself, of course. More like taking the credit of a student's work and using it to advertise your crappy school. You scoffed at the thought. Hope you all got a partner already by this time. For this term, I'm tasking you all to create 3 works based on the exhibit's theme. This is where you want to throw your desk out of the window. How could you forget? You weren't present during the previous meeting, and you absolutely knew no one in this specific class. Why were you taking art again? Oh, right. Your father was an artist, as he was a farmer. It was all for him, and maybe you could make a name for yourself with your works, if ever your life as a gardener wouldn't turn out the way it should. All part of Plan B, and if that fails, I've got Plan C and D. I've yet to make up the rest. Or guess I'll die. Guess I'll die. You shake away your silly thoughts. The problem is now at hand. You do not have a partner to work with. Oh, if only there was someone mysteriously watching me throughout the entire class who just happens to not have a partner. Now, I want all of you to go to your chosen partner for this project so I can start explaining your tasks. Eventually, you were forced out of your seat, since your seatmate's partner will be occupying it for the class. You curse at yourself. You could only hope you're not the only student who didn't get their own partner for this class. But upon looking around, it seems like everyone is calm and collected. Are you the only one panicking here? Unlike the rest of the class scurrying around to meet their partner, you were the only fool who was standing still. Note on the only one standing, because from the corner of the classroom, there's a single student not bothering to stand up from their seat. Their seatmate had left to pair with someone else, leaving a vacant spot. It's that guy in the clinic. I never knew he was in the same class as me. Is he not going to bother with his partner? Unless... Hey there! He looks up from his desk and looks at your approaching form before you're eventually standing next to him. It's you. Yep, it me. Seems like you're a bit lost there. Do you have a partner? No. Well, just your luck then, me neither. So, do you want to be partners? Sure, why not? You took the vacant seat right beside him, his book now tucked away, and on his desk is now a pen and piece of paper, seemingly ready to take notes. Hey, I never got to know your name. It's not quite important. Well, I should at least know what to call you instead of Green Street Guy. He raised a brow at your silly nickname you gave him before slightly shaking his head. Sullivan Brugmansia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But just call me Soul. Soul? Soul means sun or brightness, right? Soul nods, rubbing the back of his head.
You could say that. My mother gave me that name.
It's a lovely name.
Thanks.
Well, I'm Miss Bois du Vide. Nice to finally know your name, Soul.
Soul nods with a smile forming on his lips, then returning his attention back to the professor. 3 works to showcase. Note, it has to be some form of expressionism. Mediums will be strictly traditional. Your professor then proceeds to give other pointers for your project before leaving you and the rest of the class for the day. Everyone in the classroom proceeds to talk with their partners, already brainstorming ideas on what they're going to showcase and hopefully could get a high grade. You turned to Soul as he took out his own charcoal pencil and his sketch pad for the class.
You got any plans for our first display, Soul?
Expressionism is about conveying one's feelings, right? The easiest for now is a portrait. Let's use your face as an example.
My face?
He lets out a low chuckle. There, you're making a cute expression right now. That can be considered as expressionism.
Huh? Oh, but I have this bandage on my face. Wouldn't that hinder the process?
You recall the events that happened back in the cafeteria. I can simply ignore it, or make something better out of it. Trust the process.
But how you going to do that with your hand all messed up? He seems like he already has an idea on what to do, and judging from that half-filled sketchbook of his, he's quite familiar with the concept of art. Me, however, I think I'm pretty good at art. I haven't drawn in a while, but I think I'm pretty decent.
Oh? Then surprise me. Sorry, I can't draw you back because of this injury.
No, don't worry about it. You're excused. I don't want you to stress your hand over this.
You took out your sketch pad and your pencil and worked with his portrait with determination, his eyes never leaving your face. You would often look up to see his features, taking note of every curve. A blush occasionally invades his cheeks as he tries his best not to look away while you work. While you were sketching up, you can't help but avert your eyes on his bandaged hand from time to time. Seems like you're quite curious to know what happened to this, huh?
And you weren't slick with it either. You froze when he caught you red-handed, just like the red seeping out of his hand. You stopped drawing. Sorry, that was rude of me.
It's fine. This is just the usual for me. I've gotten worse injuries than this.
You raised a brow at that. Not the worst? If you don't mind me asking, what happened? He paused and averted his eyes, but opened up to speak.
Nothing much. Was minding my own business. Got assaulted. Had to defend myself.
He talked as if it's another normal Monday for him. Your eyes furrowed. He noticed and just chuckled.
No need to worry about me. All that matters is that I'm still here.
You didn't say anything, however, continuing on with the drawing, your movement slow and now refusing to look at his injured hand. This school is way more fluffed up than I thought it would be. Boys throwing food at people's shirts, people stabbing people in the hand. The sound of the school bell rang across the classroom and through the hallway. You quickly made a few more lines on your portrait before giving up. You closed your pad and proceeded to shove it inside your backpack, earning you a confused look on your partner's face.
Not even going to show me what you've made?
It's not done yet.
That never bothered me. Can I see it?
Wait. How about a small deal? I'll show it to you once I'm done with the portrait, and you still need to draw me once your injury gets better. Sound like a plan? You say with a wide grin on your face, trying your best to convince the male. He stares at your face for a short moment, before eventually leaning back on his chair, arms crossed, and nods along with your deal. Packing your things, you and Soul continue out into the hallway. Do you have a phone? We should exchange numbers and update each other so we can do the next 2 more tasks. Soul then takes out his own phone and asks for your number. You recite it out as he input it into his phone.
Let me try to send you a message.
You nodded and looked at your phone screen and saw a new notification from an unknown number. This must be Soul's. Sup, cute. You type so differently from how you look. From the corner of your eye, you see Soul's eyebrow raised at your text.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing. You chuckled. He rolled his eyes. Your stare lingers on Soul's face. A smile is embedded on his handsome features while he looks at the block of text on his phone. You bite the bottom of your lip as you recall the events that happened today, mostly meeting new people, first formally meeting Crowe's group, and now meeting Soul. Back then, you struggled to form friends throughout college. You were convinced you would be graduating without making a single connection, which would undoubtedly disappoint your father, and you were ready for it. You thought to yourself, these are odd people, eccentrics at most. All misunderstood people, all human, all the same. A sudden wave of determination washed over you. With a hand on your chest, you stare into Soul's orbs, making him tilt his head slightly. Don't mind me, Soul, I'm just pondering your orbs. Soul, I want to be friends with you. I can sense that people tend to misunderstand you and your overall personality. Soul is quiet, but his gaze remains on you with a lingering curiosity. But let me be different. I want to know you. I want to understand you, Soul, especially if I'm gonna draw you. If you let me. He blinked once, then twice, then a chuckle. He puts a large hand on top of your head, then ruffles your hair.
All right, then. Let's mark today as the start of our wonderful friendship, Espoir du Vide.
You playfully pushed his hand off your head and nudged him on the shoulder. He lets out a small laugh at your poor attempt. As to you too, Sullivan Brugmansia.
Just Soul is fine, Espoir.
Well, I need to get going. See you tomorrow?
Huh? Oh, of course. See you tomorrow, Espoir. We got work to do.
Giving Soul a wave of goodbye, you make your way towards the school's exit.
My darling. My sweet darling Espoir. See you later, Pumpkin.
It's gonna be so difficult, choosing Soul over Crowe. As you walk through the hallway, your eyes caught something on the nearby bulletin board. A poster was plastered on the large board. The Hallows Ball. Cool. Come enjoy the festive spirit of Hallows Eve. A Halloween party, huh? Seems promising. I could get lots of friends there. A sudden small vibration came from your pocket. Curious, you took out your phone, expecting to see another message from Soul. It was from Crowe. Your heart leapt from your chest, recalling the events that happened earlier this afternoon.
Can you meet me after class? I'll be at the front gate.
You didn't send a reply. Turning off your phone, you quickly made haste to the exit. I'm coming. You approached the school's gate, keeping an eye out for your friend. Sure enough, there stood Crowe in all his glory, posture straight with his arms held behind his back, his bag neatly placed on the floor, and his foot tapping on the concrete floor nervously. You yourself were growing nervous with each step you took as you drew closer and closer to him. When you reached his side and made your presence known with a small greeting, you noticed the way Crowe's eyebrows raised in mild surprise, as if not expecting you to actually show up before him. He cleared his throat before composing himself properly, his body now facing in your direction. You wanted to see me?
Yes,
Lifting his bag from the floor, he slings a strap over his shoulder and offers his hand for you to take.
I'd like to take you somewhere. It's a bit near the park. I'll lead, if you let me.
Absolutely. Take his hand, take his arm. Give me that hand! That's probably going to win points with him. You took his hand. In return, Crowe wraps his fingers around yours. His nervous smile melts into a genuine, and happier one before he leads the both of you away from the school's gate and to the streets. By the time you and Crowe made it to the park, it was already sundown, and stars slowly started painting the sky. Is this the place you were trying to lead me to, Crowe?
Not quite yet. Come here.
You follow him through a thicket of thick bushes, surprised to see stony stairs. Though a bit run down, it still seems sturdy to step foot on. Looking up, you see it land somewhere above. You and Crowe make your way up the stony stairs, some red and orange leaves coloring the steps, as you and him avoid a few puddles from the rain this morning.
We're here. Come, it's a sight to behold.
Ooh. Taking one last step, you see Crowe admiring whatever was beyond him, his smile bright as his eyes twinkle like the stars above. Your eyes went wide in awe upon seeing the scenery before you, replicating the one Crowe has on his face. Not once did you take into consideration the idea of sightseeing within the city. Everything felt unfamiliar, intimidating even. You couldn't blame yourself for feeling so distressed about the idea of traveling, especially since you had no one else within the city to guide you. But gazing at the sea of lights that stretched out before you made you realize that you've been missing much of what the city has to offer. Looking further ahead, you take notice of a tall tower decorated with bright neon pink lights. A little bit to its right is a movie theater next to a mall. The rows of other buildings with multicolored lights seemed endless. The more you scan the area, the more you see unfamiliar places that you didn't know existed. Your moment of silence while admiring the city view was interrupted by the sound of rustling grass. You turn around, finding the source of the sound. Crowe has made himself comfortable lying on the ground under an old tree. You see his backpack leaning on its trunk. Ooh, him so pretty. You turn your back from the city and walk to where Crowe lay, deciding to keep him company. His gaze on the starry sky shifts to you as you sit down beside him, and a hopeful smile grows on his face.
Judging from your face all lighted up, you like this place, huh? Care to join me?
Accepting his invitation, you give Crowe a slight nod that brought joy to his eyes. You stretch a bit and lay on your back right next to him, your fingers barely touching. You and Crowe look at the night sky. You observe how the stars twinkle, as if the rain from this morning never happened. How did you manage to find this place? You tilt your head to look at him, and he gives you a closed-eyed chuckle before his twinkling gaze meets yours.
I take it that you've never heard of Lily's mirth, have you, Espoir?
Lily's mirth? Crowe points up to the old tree that stood above you, then returns his gaze to the stars.
They say that this tree that the humans came in contact with was blessed by the gods that guard this land. This very same tree here used to bear multiple fruits. They say that they never rot and are free for anyone to take. Or so what the popular interpretation says anyway.
There are other versions of the myth? Crowe shrugs his shoulders. Moving his gaze past the sky back to the tree, he stares at it, as if trying to decipher something just by the mere look of it.
There are other versions, yes. Some say the fruits are actually poisonous. Others say it's only meant for the gods, and no human must take from it, lest they be cursed.
That sounds quite gruesome. It's no wonder they would rather use the lighter version of the myth. Crowe lets out a low chuckle at your statement, nodding a bit, as if agreeing with you.
I guess that might be one of the reasons. Hey, Espoir.
He pauses before speaking again. You perk your eyebrow at him. Yeah?
This seems like a silly question.
No, lay it on me. Tell me what it is.
Do you believe in gods?
This question caught you by surprise. You never thought of Crowe as the religious type, more so be interested in gods, or maybe he's just curious by the idea of them. This may be the best moment to know for sure. Well, do, yeah, I do. I do. They're the very beings that blessed our lands and soil. Back in my hometown, we would go to worship in our village's patron goddess's church and pray for a good harvest. You recall your visits to the village temple with your father. Being regulars, you visited enough to the point where you became friends with some of those who resided within the church. Every time you dropped by to worship, you and your father would offer your healthiest crops to thank your patron. You haven't gone to church in a while, probably because the city doesn't have a church for your patron deity. Your goddess had more followers near your village all the way to the south. Crowe gives you a nod of understanding. How about you? Do you believe in gods? You turn to Crowe, repeating the same question he asked you earlier. He scans your face, your eyes, your nose, then your lips. His lingering gaze made you shrink back, your heart fluttering slightly. Crowe seems to realize something to himself as he returns his attention to the stars above, sighing. I don't. This surprises you, and Crowe laughs at your visible shock and confusion. What? You didn't think I'd be a non-believer? If I have to be honest, no. Why so? You kind of dress like a priest. Yeah, that's it. Crowe's azure eyes grew wide as he broke out into one of the loudest laughs you've ever heard from him. He laughed so hard that he had to clench his stomach and wipe at the tear-stained corners of his eyes. He was still chuckling when he unbuttons the first two studs of his black polo shirt, revealing more of his collarbone to you. Oh, how scandalous, Crowe. You quickly avert your eyes, finding the tree's leaves to be very interesting at this moment as you feel a familiar heat rush to your cheeks. How's that? Less formal? For fluff's sake, Ichabod! Don't do that to me! It feels like I'm seeing a Victorian woman's ankles for the first time. Crowe grins at your reaction. It took the both of you a few more seconds of going back and forth with his teasing and you reprimanding him before you finally calmed down. You're just gonna show chest like that, Crowe? The next few moments were spent with you pointing at the stars and Crowe teaching you the constellations with a gentle whisper-like voice. You both fell silent, basking in the peace of the night. As the silence prolonged, Crowe fell deep in thought. About today, Espoir, and the other guys. So we're moving to this conversation next, huh? I've got to be honest. Daryl put me up on this little hangout while I was feeling down on the dumps. I think I do have to thank him for forcing me and actually giving me the courage to talk to you after class. He lets out a breath he didn't know he was holding, refusing to meet your eyes. Oh. I just don't know if I upset you by suddenly dragging you into this group. I probably should have told you about them a long time ago, huh? I'm sorry, Espoir. You bite your lip. You suspected that you might have upset Crowe by making him think that you didn't like the group's presence at all, and that he's forcing you to bend to his will. One thing to know about Crowe is that he's never the type to demand, to control, to be a king, to be a tyrant. You didn't do anything wrong, Crowe. In fact, I should be the one to apologize. You speak up without thinking. Crowe turns his head to look at you, his gaze swirling with confusion at your apology. I'm sorry for making you feel bad. I didn't mean to upset. You swallow a lump in your throat, trying your best to hold the tears that were threatening to spill. I just thought that you'd forget about me after. They're amazing people. Brittany's pretty, Daryl's a fun guy, Gio's so cool, and Jess is loyal and cute as a button. They're a great group. And most importantly, you're amazing, Crowe. You're all amazing, but not me. I'm just not sure if I could ever be part of the group. You were always hidden in the shadows. No matter how much you tried to fit in, you were never to be considered. People treated you like someone to toss away. someone to use. You're worth nothing but an extra. That's what she always tells you. You couldn't hold it back anymore. A sob escapes your lips, your vision slowly blurring as you feel wet droplets of tears finally sliding down your cheeks from your eyes. For a moment, you saw panic in Crowe's expression, seemingly not expecting you to burst into tears. He reaches out to hold your hand. And suddenly, you feel a pair of arms circling around you as he pulls you closer to him, letting you sob on his shoulder. He says nothing while rubbing a hand along your back, allowing you to cry, not caring about his clothes getting wet from your tears. Once you calm down, Crowe rests his hands on your back, not letting you out of his embrace.
You're amazing, Espoir. I'm sorry I never got to tell you that, no matter how many times I've thought of it. I just couldn't seem to find the words. But you're amazing in your own way, Espoir. You may not know it, but you're beautiful. You're funny. You're quite a phenomenon.
You can feel vibrations coming from his chest from the chuckle he emits.
Heck, you're the funniest person I know. All I'm saying, Espoir, is that you're amazing.
You have no idea how much tears you've shed tonight. Sometimes you think it's silly and childish to cry over what was probably a trivial matter to some, but the urge to sob returned after hearing those words from him.
Do you want me to call you the Amazing Spider-Man just to prove that you're amazing?
That made you giggle a bit as you wipe your tear-stained cheeks. With whatever strength you could muster, you slowly pulled away and lifted yourself up.
Oh.
You sit yourself up, hovering over Crowe. And there you see the very same man that made you cry by literally doing nothing. His braid came loose, you didn't know when, but his hair pooled around his head. Crowe stares up at you with serene eyes, remaining silent as a gentle smile plastered on his face.
It's gonna be real hard. It's gonna be real hard choosing Soul over Crowe.
There was nothing but the moon illuminating his tender features, yet to your vision he seemed to glow. He is absolutely beautiful. Oh, how you wish you could blame everything on him. If you could, you'd tell him that he's the reason for all the unnecessary feelings swelling in your chest. You tell him exactly how good and bad it feels, the heartaches and butterflies fluttering around your stomach. You want to blame him, but you can't. Hug him, kiss him.
Let's go in there for that kiss. This would be the perfect moment to do this.
You have no idea where you got the guts to do the thing you did next, but the feeling of his lips pressed on yours made the butterflies rattle in your stomach, threatening to burst out of their cage. Your heart beats fast like you just ran a marathon as you feel the heat rush to your cheeks. Crowe freezes against you, and for a moment there you thought you'd just made a huge mistake. You're prepared to pull away and apologize, but he makes a move you didn't expect. The gentle grip that Crowe had on the small of your back slithers its way to the back of your head, fingers entwined with your hair as he presses you closer to him, returning your kiss with a fervent sense of desperation. His other hand holds your waist in a tight embrace, not wanting to let you go. Out of your own surprise, you break the kiss by pulling away slightly. Crowe chases after you, leaning in close to capture your lips in a deeper and more passionate manner than before. You feel like putty in his embrace as he cups your cheek with one hand, his lips needily asking for more access to yours. In response, you shut your eyes tight, and your arms come to wrap around his shoulders, granting his desire by tilting your head against his. The both of you losing all sense of the world as you fall deep into the sensation of your lips against each other. He eventually pulls away, a string of saliva connecting your lips to his own. His breaths are heavy, matching yours, and you beheld his red face and hair messier than before. He tucks away a stray strand of hair behind your ear before rubbing your cheek with his thumb. Crowe scans your disheveled figure above him. You can see the way his eyes dilute the longer he keeps his gaze on your face.
I knew we were going stargazing tonight, but I didn't expect the brightest star to be just in front of me.
Ooh, you're gonna get me pregnant with that line, Crowe! You giggled at his cheesy pickup line. It was pretty good.
God, I like you, Espoir. I liked you the first time I laid my eyes upon you. I couldn't tell you, because I was scared I might lose whatever we have at the moment, that I would lose you. I couldn't bear to live a life without you.
Crowe, I like you too. I've liked you ever since, too. You chuckled at the silly thoughts you recall, the way you've been doubting your feelings, his feelings. His eyes grow wide, jaw falling slack as he tries to comprehend the words that just came out of your lips. He blinks once, twice, before a smile as bright as the stars above appears on his face.
Is this a dream? I hope not. If I'm in a dream, please tell the sleeping me to never wake up. I want to live in this dream forever.
Will this convince you it's not a dream? You lean closer to his face and place a peck on his cheek.
Maybe, but I think this would definitely convince me.
He captures your lips swiftly, distracting you when he moves in to bury his face into the crook of your neck to nibble at the soft flesh. You gasp.
Now people will know you're mine.
We're already married. We're already in Mexico together. Hey now. Crowe laughs out heartily at your reaction, and you simply roll your eyes. You couldn't stay mad at him. He dusts off the grass that stuck to his shirt before giving you a once-over and gently swatting away the leaves on your hair and clothes. You get up and Crowe retrieves his bag, almost forgotten by the tree. He looks back at you and takes your hand silently. It was time to go. It was time to leave this magical place. You look at the stars, at how brightly they shone. You gave the sky one last glance before turning away, hand clasped tightly around Crowe's as you let him lead you home. Oh! I think this is going to be a Crowe playthrough. The first one's going to be a Crowe playthrough. Crowe walks you to your apartment, noting that he kept you out late at night. You bid Crowe goodbye after he safely sees you inside, and he gives you a wave before turning on his heel and making his way down the stairs. You close your apartment door and lean on it, heaving a puff of air. You recall the conversation you had with Crowe while you walked with him on the street leading to your home. I'm going to give the guys a chance. I think I judged them too quickly. So I want to do better. I want to get to know them better. If you trust them, then I trust them too. Crowe's expression was one of surprise at your declaration, as your determined face reflected in his orbs. Crowe chuckled at your enthusiasm, giving you a friendly pat on the head.
I'm glad you're giving them a chance, Espoir. I'm sure they'll feel the same.
You engaged in other conversations with Crowe during your walk, the topics not really being of any importance, as you've forgotten them by now, save for his gentle voice and the occasional fond glances he stole at you. Time with Crowe seemed to pass by so quickly, you arrived at your apartment complex before you knew it. You make your way to the living room, and you throw your school bag to a random corner, immediately plopping down on your sofa as you turn on the small television. Nothing interesting is going on, save for some food commercials and movie trailers. That pizza looks good. Maybe I should order something. Reaching to your pockets and taking out your phone, you were about to dial the numbers on the television when a new notification bubble popped on your notification bar. It's from a group chat you've never seen before. After scrutinizing it, you realize that it was Crowe who added you in. It was a group chat with the rest of his friends. You open it.
Anyone want to go to the Halloween party this Friday? It's gonna be awesome.
Aren't we all a bit too old for costume parties?
Is it required? You two are no fun at all. I won't go if it's not a school requirement, much less a waste of my time. Is it? No, it isn't. But it'll be a great and fun experience for all of us. I mean, we should loosen up a bit, you know.
I agree with Crowe. Count me in.
Pass. I've got more important things to do than that party. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll be doing my leftover tasks for tonight.
Gio just laughs. Just laughs.
Sheesh, a stick in the mud as usual. How about you, Espoir?
Me?
You joining in? It'll be fun.
You're honestly surprised they somehow remembered you. Checking your calendar through your phone, you didn't seem to have any plans in the near future, or plans at all. You just like to spend your time in your apartment alone, playing Pal World and dreaming about your fictional husbands. I mean, sure.
That's great to hear.
Crowe seemed happy about it. You giggled. Ooh, I wonder what his costume would be. This also reminds you of something. Or rather, someone. Opening another chat, you tapped in Soul's newly added contact and sent him a message by sending the image of the same poster Daryl sent.
You going, buddy? A Halloween party? Hosted by the school?
Yeah.
I'm not quite into parties.
Oh. Oh, well, that's all right. Just asking, that's all.
Wait. If you're coming, then I'm coming as well.
Really?
Really.
Do you plan on dressing up?
What would Soul's costume be? I don't know. Do you?
I mean, it's a costume party, so why not?
I'll try to think of something then.
You swear you can feel the smile behind those words. Aww. With a quick word of goodbye, you set your phone down when you heard your doorbell. That must be the food delivery.
Pizza time!
Afterwards, you ate your dinner and prepared yourself for bed. You thought about the events that happened today, meeting the group, meeting Soul, and most especially your little hangout with Crowe. Tee! Each and every moment is a special occasion on its own. Letting out a big yawn as you stretched your body, you turn to your laundry slowly piling up and scratch your head. I'll probably do laundry tomorrow, but for now,
it's pizza coma time!
You plopped yourself on the soft cushions of your bed, getting into a comfortable position and slowly dozing off as you closed your eyes, embracing sleep as the night goes.
And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me, the one who loves. I was a child, she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. Day 2, the kingdom. Cool. Hold on, let me check my little heart here. Hee 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 hee. Wait, is that an 11? Oh, Soul's mad. Oh, Soul, come on. He's laying it on really thick. That thing about coming out to see the stars and the brightest ones in front of him, that was a hot line. That line was hot. Come on, Soul. Don't look at him like that, Soul. Just because he has 11 points and you have 2.
The following day, the first thing you did is look around for Crowe. However, when you try asking some students for his whereabouts, nobody seems to know where he went. You tried sending him a message to his phone, but you never received a single reply, much less having your messages be put on read. You eventually met up with Brittany. She seemed to be one of the few people closest to Crowe, so it was best to talk about him with her. Jericho? No, I haven't seen him. Do you know anyone else that might have had an idea where he is? Brittany pondered for a bit, with a manicured fingernail on her chin, before shaking her head no. I've already asked the rest of the guys. Heck, even Gio doesn't know where he is, and that guy's close to the hip with him. But he said he's coming to school today. Don't tell me he ditched last minute. Bullcrap. He would always send me or anyone in the group a text whenever something came up. Heck, knowing that guy, he'd probably send you a text first. You deflated. Brittany gives you a worried look, trying to think of something else that could possibly help you. Maybe you should try checking the council's office. Taking her advice, you thank her and proceed to leave the classroom she was in. You did as Brittany suggested, but much to your dismay and frustration, not a single one in the council knows where Crowe is. Soul, Crowe better not be missing because of you. You better not have a hand in this. I see you pouting. You did as Brittany suggested, but much to your dismay and frustration, not a single one in the council knows where Crowe is. Classes eventually start, but you didn't attend. Too determined to know where Crowe could have possibly been, you rack your brain as you walk all over the school grounds. You were probably too angry to realize you made it all the way to the gardens, the place where you usually work. You scratch your head from frustration. Taking out your phone, you decide to give his number a ring. It was still dead silent. I don't like that. I don't like that you said dead silent. I don't like that you put it that way. You decide to walk even deeper into the gardens. Until eventually, you meet with the familiar chain fence, indicating the school campus's borders barricading you from the forest just beyond it. You rang Crowe's number one last time. It rang a few more rings before cutting off. You checked your phone, thinking that he somehow finally picked up, but was met with a disappointing notification that it was out of service. You try one last time. I better not hear your phone ringing in the middle of the forest next to your dead, mangled corpse. I will cry. There's a faint ringing in the distance. Oh no. But it's not within the gardens. It's coming from outside. I will cry. Tears will come out of my eyeballs. Did he get himself lost? But how? As far as I know, this place is all boarded up. Putting your phone in your pocket, you look up and stare at the metal edges of the fence, shielding your eyes from the sunlight hitting your face. You bit your lip. You could climb up, but if you fall, you'd probably have a sprain, or if you're not careful enough. Ugh. Go to the nurse. Hey, how'd you break your ankle? Totally not escaping the school. Without wasting any more time, you start climbing the chain fence, your fingers shaking from anxiety at the imposing height upon reaching the edge. Going over to the other side, you slowly make your way down, still keeping a tight hold on the fence. Whoop! Fluff! I knew this would happen. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm 30. That is, until you somehow manage to slip on your footing, causing you to fall down, back first. My tailbone! A groan escapes your lips, your back now aching from the sudden impact of the fall, making you lie there and wait for the pain to subside a little. You pat down your pockets, reaching for your phone inside. You feel your heart drop to your stomach as you behold it. Oh no. Oh no! My phone! Fluff! I'm such a moron. There's glass in my butt. You curse, seeing the visible crack on the screen of your mobile device. Turning it on, you vomit another string of colorful curses as your phone screen glitched heavily before eventually turning dark. Well, shoot. This crap is useless now. I mean, you could always beam it at somebody. Shoving your broken phone back into your pocket, you slowly got up to your feet. You looked around. If Crowe was somewhere here, then you'd better start looking around. Hopefully you can try to remember your way back into the campus grounds. Start making some kind of trail. Your heartbeat accelerates as you walk deeper into the forest. You've never been here. It was uncharted territory, so you don't know what dangers lurked. You scan the area around you, the thickets seemingly getting thicker and harder to maneuver. You see nothing out of the ordinary, save for some overgrown bushes and vines crawling on the dirt floor. If these don't get tended to, someone will surely trip. You are about to give up your search when you notice something in the corner of your eye. It better not be Crowe's entire dead body. The familiar shade of Crowe's indigo vest, torn to pieces. Or maybe Soul didn't have anything to do with it, and it's just a bear. It's just a random, tiger out here or something. You feel your heart drop. The air suddenly feels suffocating. Your legs wobble their way to the torn piece, hoping that it was some sort of hallucination or some kind of sick coincidence. But no, this is exactly Crowe's vest, all torn and broken. You search around the area one last time, eyes keener than before, hoping that this might have been some kind of prank someone pulled on you, till your eyes land on a strange and broken-down shed. What? Oh? Clenching the torn fabric close to your chest, you hastily make your way to the shed, maybe grab that axe right there, just in case. Thoughts of Crowe invades your mind as you ignore all the warnings waving in your face. The moment you came face to face with the shed, your nose picked up on something bad. Oh! The smell of iron. The smell of blood. Oh no! I've got one tissue. I better not start crying because I've only got one tissue in this box. You rattle the wooden door open. It won't budge. Fluff! Open up, Mother Fluffer! I'm going to call this door names until it opens. You look around for something to pry the door open. An axe. Coincidentally, a lone axe was sticking on a tree stump. Gathering your strength, you pried it off its hinges, nearly knocking yourself down with it. Ooh. Dragging the heavy axe to the front door, you swing it open, breaking the wooden door piece by piece until a hole forms into it. The smell is now stronger than it ever was before, making you scrunch up your nose. With one last blow, the door falls, the shattered piece of wood now hanging by its hinges as you enter the room. You feel your soul leave your body. The strength from your legs disappears as you drop to your knees, the pool of blood staining your skin. The iron-smelling liquid's thick texture made you feel pure disgust as a shiver ran down your spine. Soul! This better been Tate Frost and not you! My baby! My baby! Nah! Oh! No! No! Please! Please! God! This can't be happening! You want to rip your heart out of your chest. You want to burn this whole forest to ash. Before you lay Crowe's corpse. His head is barely attached to his shoulders, and you can clearly see the gaping injury left by something sharp on his neck. Blood drips from the deep cut, the red liquid pooling around his lifeless body. His eyes were left open, and you gaze at them, wishing, praying, and hoping that his vibrant azure orbs would smile at you again. But no, his eyes remain dull, soulless. You mutter his name over and over and over, asking him to get up, to talk to you, to tell you what happened. But he didn't. You hear footsteps behind you, accompanied by the clanking of metal before something drops to the ground. I don't know who you are. I don't care how big you are, but I'm going to make this axe a part of your body. You swiftly turn around, meeting the eyes of someone you never expected to be here. You! Listen here, baby cakes! A pair of fiery red orbs grew wide like saucers as their owner beholds your slumped, blood-stained figure. His gaze reveals a mix of surprise, dread, and panic. Oh, you're gonna panic. Call an ambulance. Call an ambulance, but not for me or my dead friend.
Espoir? No, you shouldn't be here. You need to leave.
His pleas fell on deaf ears. Instead, you stare at the bloody hand axe that he dropped, his equally bloody hands, and his dark shirt wet with red liquid. He reeks of blood. He killed him. He killed Crowe. You killed him, didn't you, Soul?
Well, he was at an 11 and I was at a 2.
Soul bit his tongue, refusing to answer your question as he stays put. You can see the way his jaw clenches, his expression now filled with rage.
He was going to take you away from me.
You darn tootin' he was.
I've only done something I wished I should have done years ago.
So you're not even going to deny it?
I would never lie to you, Espoir.
But why? Why did you do this?
Because I love you, Espoir.
Dude, you only knew me for like 25 minutes.
And I'm not letting that bastard take you away from me. You're mine, and mine alone.
You were taken aback by his declaration of love towards you. It left a disgusting taste in your mouth. How dare he taint the word love? I made out with Crowe under the stars. How dare you? How dare he throw it around like it's an object? You monster!
What?
Yeah, get him, me! You lunge at him, aiming for his neck and pushing him down onto the dirt. He claws at your hands, not expecting your sudden strength as you unbuckle his choker, pulling on the strap and using it to choke him. That's a good idea. You mean nothing to me. I don't even know you. You love me? I loved him. He was everything to me. He was my savior, my first love, my everything. What do you know about me? You must pray for what you've done. Soul couldn't muster a single word as you kept pulling on the strap around his neck. Your vision fills with red as your desire to take revenge overwhelms you. The strength in his hands weakens as Soul loses air, and soon you feel something sharp. What? Something painful. What? You look down, expecting to see your successful revenge through your classmate's soulless eyes, but the light remains in his eyes. Instead, it's filled with horror. Did you stab me? You cough. Blood seeps through your lips. You look further down and see...
Ugh! Oh, shoot!
A sharp blade through your chest.
Whoomst!
Did he do that? The object swiftly disappears after someone pulls it out of your body. Blood slowly gushes out of your wound. You feel someone push you down. A pair of hands moves your body. You couldn't care less as you stare at the dusty ceiling of the worn-out shed, your vision slowly darkening. What the heck? What kind of Shakespearean ending have I just done? Gosh dang it! From the corner of your eye, you can make out the blurry figure of the man you've come to befriend the day before. A few droplets of something wet splatters on your cheek. He's crying.
Espoir, stay. No, please, stay with me.
Another figure enters your fading vision, and Soul takes notice of them. You recognize the blade in their grasp as they wipe it clean of your blood. Your killer. Was it Hyugo? Was it Hyugo? Soul gets into an argument with the guy, his muffled screams reprimanding them. You can barely hear the person's responses as they calmly speak with Soul. Keeping your eyes open is getting tiring. Breathing is getting tiring. With one last breath, you flutter your eyes closed, and you utter one last, "Mother fluffer!" And the last thing you hear are these exact words, "No witnesses." Gosh dang it, Hyugo! Hyugo! Ah! What? Why did they take my boy? Why did they take my boy from me? Ah! Okay. Okay. Oh, I guess I can't like Crowe too much, or else Soul will go into a rage. I mean, then again, he is a yandere. I knew that going in. But gosh dang it. I'm sorry that he had 11 points and you had 2. Alright, what if I do something else? What if I go all the way back to the beginning, instead of going with the people who will become my new friends? What if I go to the library? I'll head to the library today. With a hand on her hip, Brittany stares at you, as if waiting for you to change your mind. Seeing that your decision is set, she loosens a sigh. Brittany wordlessly turns on her heel and walks out of the classroom, the rest of her friends following behind her. Why do I feel kind of cold about that? Crowe, however, stayed in his exact same spot right next to you. Noticing this, Geo, the one in the hoodie, stops. Crowe? Oh, be right there. Oh. Crowe paused shortly to sneak a look at you before walking towards Geo. This is for your own good, Crowe. His movements slow and hesitant to leave your side. Although Crowe did not give you a farewell glance before reaching his friend, it was Geo who glared at you over his shoulder. His gaze was intimidating and intense. It reminded you of the way predators look at their prey. What did I do? I just mentally said that I'm going to steal your earrings. You felt your heart stop beating for a moment. Confused by his apparent stillness, Crowe was about to question his blue-haired companion, but Geo waved his hand dismissively. Before Crowe could notice anything, Geo breaks his gaze away from yours and ushers his friend out of the classroom. You let out the breath you didn't know you were holding. What was that all about? He gave me nothing but short glances and glares since I've met him. What is your dealio, Geo? Maybe I'm not suited to be part of their group. You shake away the negative thoughts attempting to plague your mind. Returning to your original plan, you packed up your things and proceeded to head out. Next stop, the library. The rowdy hallway buzzed with noise as sweaty and tired students made their way to their respective classes, some presumably heading towards the cafeteria for a break. Several were headed in the same direction you were walking. With the library door within your reach, a smile etched on your face. You open the doors, immediately greeted by the familiar scent of coffee and library books. You've always been awed by your university's fancy facilities. In fact, the library surprisingly operates as a small cafe, serving coffee to the students who need it early in the morning until the afternoon. It's a huge hit amongst everyone, and you understood why. Caffeine is the fuel to a college student's weary soul. The aroma of coffee somehow lightened your mood. Anticipating a short moment of peace within the library, you made your way towards your usual seat by the large window near the cafe section. Your mood dropped when you spotted an unfamiliar face occupying the chair you've come to favor. You groaned. Just great. What should I do about this? Find somewhere else to sit, ask them to move away from your seat, or just take the seat beside them. Hey you! Beat it! No, you refuse to accept this. This is your seat. Heck, you even made sure the people know it's yours by scribbling your name on the wooden chair. It literally has... Oh, okay. Okay, that last part is a lie. You'll probably get in trouble if you ever vandalize school property. But you've been in the library more than you could count, that you're pretty sure even the regular students who come here know that it's your spot. Swallowing your pride, you slowly approach the seated guy. Listen here, you. I'm still a little bit salty about that last ending. Once you've made it to his side, however, he didn't bother to acknowledge your presence, seemingly more focused on the book he's reading. You faked a cough. Ahem! That seemed to catch his attention, for he gives you a small glance right after, his nose still buried in his book. What you reading for? Just being really rude to Soul for no reason.
This seems to catch his attention.
You're in my seat. Can I have it back?
He stares at you for a moment, then closes his book, swerving his body to face you while placing an elbow on the mahogany table. His reddish orbs stare right back into your own. The confidence you had 5 minutes ago vanishes into thin air as his gaze sends shivers down your spine. The dark circles under his eyes adds to his intimidating look. He raised a brow before looking around, under the table, on the seat, and even under his book before turning back to you.
I don't see your name anywhere.
Well, it would be there if they let me vandalize this place. You can feel the veins on your forehead pop out. Oh, so he wants to be a smart aleck, huh? Should have put my name like I've planned for jerks like him.
Like, there it is, right on the third leg.
You crossed your arms, not hiding your visible irritation, earning a low chuckle from the male who is seemingly amused at your frustration.
So cute.
Don't you call me cute!
Say, if you really want your seat back, you need to convince me to move first. Tell you what, how about a cup of coffee? If you could give me a cup, maybe I'll consider moving.
You bite your inner cheek. Now he wants you to be his little servant? Who does this guy think he is? Turning your head to the nearby coffee stand, right next to the exit, you observe some students enjoying their own coffee while reading or studying. Maybe you can grab his coffee and get this over with. Force him to give up his seat. I'm still mad. Do I look like your little maid? Just move and give me back my seat. You angrily voiced out, growing more and more impatient with the male before you. However, he seems unbothered by your threat, his eyes half-lidded in boredom before going back to reading his novel. Okay, this guy's getting on my nerves. If he doesn't want to leave, then I'm not letting him then. You huffed in annoyance and moved around behind him. He didn't utter a single word and kept his nose in his light novel, though he couldn't deny the fact that he was a bit curious about what you were planning. What shocked him next was you pulling on the chair, causing him to gasp as he wobbled on his seat. Steadying himself, he was prepared to reprimand you for your actions, but you cut him off once more.
What are you?
By settling yourself on top of his lap. Yeah, I have to do this to my cat sometimes. Like, you want to take my seat? Fine, we're both sitting here. He swore to whatever god looking down on him right now to take him. The book in his hand is threatening to slip off as all of his senses shut down, save for his eyes that remain focused on your back. His heartbeat quickens, cursing under his breath, while you continue on with your work as if he isn't there. And you, oh sweet little you, slightly turn your head, giving a quick glance, your lips turned upward as if mocking him, teasing him. It's driving him insane. You, however, went along with your task, ignoring him as if he weren't there, save for your buns literally on top of his lap. He looks around him, noticing a few glances from passing students, some rolling their eyes and some moving away, finding a different seat. The guy's face went red. The surrounding students were definitely interpreting this the wrong way. He returns his gaze back to you, who remains unbothered sitting on his lap and seemingly not noticing the weird glances. He eventually relaxes, though still a bit hesitant on placing his arm next to yours. With a free hand, he picks up the book he had and reads through its contents once more. Just someone walks by and like, there's other seats, guys. There's plenty of seats for everybody. A minute or two passed, and you felt him sigh before closing his book. He seems to be having a hard time concentrating on his novel. Not your problem, though.
Seldom we find, says Solomon Dunduntz.
He reads aloud, making you arc an eyebrow whilst trying to ignore him, still as you remain focused on your papers.
Half an idea in the profoundest sonnet, though all the flimsy things we see at once.
Is he reading through your papers? More specifically, on the poem you chose? As easily as though a Naples bonnet. An Enigma by Edgar Allan Poe, huh? Not a bad choice.
Now this has gotten your attention. In all honesty, you just grabbed whatever book that your hand thought felt heavy and went along with it. You were lucky enough that it was a singular book filled with stories and poems about this author named Edgar Allan Poe. You went through the book's table of contents, and the title caught your attention. Maybe it'll have the same effect on your ignorant teacher as it did to you. But it seems like this talking chair of yours is taking an interest in it first. I'm going to call you Chair now. Not bearing to ignore him any longer, you speak up. It's the first thing I could find that looks interesting. Nothing much, as long as I've got something to write for my report.
That's fair. But did you know this poem is also a puzzle?
This piqued your curiosity.
A puzzle?
He nods. Then, with a finger, he points at the first line of the poem, then on the second.
Yes, a puzzle. This is one of the few works of his that I find quite charming.
Looking at where his finger is pointing, you try to look for the puzzle he's speaking of, but despite reading through the sonnet carefully, you couldn't seem to find the puzzle he was talking about. He must be fluffing with you. Trying one last time, you scanned the words.
Hold on a second there. Hold on a second there, I was paying attention.
Now, normally, I would just say, I don't know the answer, let's just keep going. But no, Soul made me mad. He wants to kill my friend, he wants to sit in my seat, he wants to mock my work. So I sat down, I racked my brain reading the poem over and over again, painstakingly figuring out. I just Googled it. I just Googled the answer. Fluff him. You feel a pat on your head, making you tilt your neck in his direction as you try to face him. Yeah, 'cause he's sitting behind me. There, on his face, is a calm smile directed at you as if saying, "Good job. I Googled it. I'm not going to entertain your chicanery."
You're a smart cookie.
A smug smile made its way to your face, chin up and eyes closed. But of course, me and my trusty non-broken phone. I give up. Wait, no, why you booing me? I'm right. Why you booing me? I'm right. You don't need to tell me I'm right. It's a name?
Yep, someone that the author had close relations to.
I see.
Well, you tried. That's what matters.
You're lucky this is a demo, Soul. You're lucky this is a demo. You look back on your paper, on the poem specifically, a newfound sense of respect for the sonnet after knowing its hidden meaning. This just adds to more content in your paper. Oh yeah, really sauce up my paper. Maybe it'll help you get an even higher grade for it. Maybe hitting the books isn't so bad. You lean back on the chair, nearly forgetting you're literally on someone's lap, causing you to accidentally press your back to his chest, making him jerk on the seat. This surprises you. You yelped and quickly stood up from the chair, turning to apologize to him. I ain't apologizing for nothing. His previous relaxed posture is now back to being stiff as a board. Is that a library book in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? His face was bright red, resembling a tomato. Leaning forward on his seat, his chin rests on top of the table with a flustered expression on his face. I'm so sorry. I forgot I was sitting on you.
I'm not sorry. I didn't forget.
Oh my God, I was sitting on him. The sudden realization hits you, and you quickly want to bury yourself in the ground. The student before you remains silent, his face still burning red, and his eyes wide as plates. He shakily grabs his book and quickly stands up from the seat. Without sparing you any time or breath, he walks out towards the exit with a bit of a limp in his step. You feel like ripping your hair out. No, I feel like laughing like a troll. I feel like cackling. You did all of that embarrassing crap for some guy who refused to give you your seat in the library. You could have gone to a different spot without having to do all of that. Don't try to chastise me in the game. We showed him what for. Well, there's no point in dwelling on it any more than necessary. Returning to your papers, you stack them up along with the books you've borrowed. Glancing at the poem one last time, you couldn't help the smile that made its way to your lips. At least he gave me some useful insight on my paper. I should thank him once I see him. I never got to know his name. You're so bad at interacting with people. Once you've reached the hallway, the stranger from the library was already gone, but what surprised you was Crowe's presence, followed by the same group of friends you saw this morning. Aww. Only that Brittany's uniform is covered with what seems to be a mix of ketchup, mustard, and a variety of oils, while Jess tries her best to wipe them off of her. What the fluff happened in the cafeteria?
Espoir, I was about to check up on you. How are you feeling?
I'm doing fine, although... You turn your gaze to the blonde behind him. Crowe follows your line of sight and scratches his cheek. A drop of sweat rolls down his neck. Sensing your curiosity, he turns to Brittany. The blonde woman just waves him off, refusing to meet his eyes. Taking that as a sign to proceed, Crowe explains.
Things went a bit hectic in the cafeteria. A food fight broke out. It was the best food fight ever! You should have seen the face of that red-headed biscuit when you slammed ketchup on her uniform.
Daryl jumped into the conversation, startling you and Crowe at his sudden appearance. An annoyed expression made its way onto Crowe's face.
You nearly got us all in trouble, Daryl. I'm just glad we got ourselves out of there before things got worse. Yeah, our knight in shining armor, Mr. Ichabod, always to the rescue, really making use of your title as a school rep, huh?
Daryl gives Crowe a little nudge. The said man just rolled his eyes.
But you've got to admit the look on Pinkie Pie was fluffin' hilarious, right, Britt?
You and Daryl turned to Brittany, some of the sauces on her uniform gone, leaving nothing but a stain on it. A small smirk formed on her lips as she recalled the earlier events. Well, I can't deny that it felt good having to fight back. Daryl gives a toothy smile at the blonde woman, which she returns with her own snarky smile. Crowe rolls his eyes, shaking his head at the two troublemakers. Contrary to his visible disagreement, you couldn't help but notice the small smile on his face, as if he's proud of them despite the trouble they caused. As you observe them, you notice something amiss. Or rather, someone. Yeah, where's Gio? He was glaring at me. Jess seemed to catch up on your confusion at their lack of numbers and stepped up to explain. If you're looking for Gio, he said he was going somewhere else. I'm not quite sure where, though. I see. Not that I was actively trying to look for the guy. He actually scares me. You recall the look he gave you right before you left for the library. Just remembering it sends shivers down your spine. You considered tugging on Crowe's sleeve, wanting to seek for answers about his other friend, but seeing how he's going along with the group with a genuine smile on his face, you bit your lower lip. You couldn't bear to ruin the mood. I should head to my next class. Not sparing them any more of your time, you swiftly turned on your heel and rushed out of the scene.
She's quite a runner, isn't she?
Daryl perks up beside Crowe's solemn face, while the two stare at your departing form. Crowe sighs and looks down at the floor.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
The taller jock says nothing, but gives his friend a look of pity. Rubbing Crowe's back, he tries to think of something, anything to reassure the man next to him. Daryl's eyes suddenly lit up, a smile appearing on his lips. Taking advantage of Crowe's vulnerability, he swiftly snatched his friend's phone from his pockets, the latter not even batting an eye at his phone that was taken. Instead, he questions him. The jock simply messes with his phone, his tongue sticking out of the corner of his lips.
What are you doing? Trying to fix your love life. You're welcome, by the way. What are you even talking about?
Crowe's eyes grew wide at the block of text Daryl showed him.
Give that back!
Oh, is this him inviting me to look at the stars? Daryl simply laughs at Crowe's failed attempts in getting his phone back. He waves Crowe's blue mobile phone in the air.
You've got no choice, Crowe. I've already sent the message. Daryl, you sneaky bastard. I mean, that is a good move, though. You'll call me your favorite wingman after this. The jock winks. A few feet away from the men, Brittany and Jess simply observed the two males. They turned to each other and shrugged, wondering what Daryl could have done to get Crowe flustered like that. Fixing your composure, you scanned the room. A few easels and shelves filled with brushes and bottles stained with acrylic paint guaranteed that you made it to the right class. However, you noticed something, or rather, someone, familiar. The very same tuft of black hair with green highlights sat at the back, and instead of his red novel that you've come to associate him with, he's now scribbling with a sketch pad. He didn't seem to notice your arrival. How come you've never seen him in class before? Is it because he's seated all the way at the back of the classroom?
Oh, that's why they call it that.
Like the name of this game! If that's the case, then he must have been really quiet, and you probably never got the time to notice him come and go. How odd, you thought. You make your way to your seat, not breaking your gaze at the tall, dark male. Once you reached your seat, you couldn't help your growing curiosity at whatever he was doing with his sketch pad. Coincidentally, the desk right in front of him was unoccupied. Maybe you could sit there instead. Settling with that idea, you moved to the desk in front of him and placed your things down. He remains unaware of your presence. You sit on the chair facing the opposite direction as you casually placed your arms on the backrest. "What you doing?" You observe the way he draws with his pencil. Each stroke he creates moves with so much elegance that you thought he was dancing with it. The face of a person dressed in peasant clothes. They seemed to be dancing while a being larger in size was right next to them. You lean in closer, attempting to see what he's trying to draw, but was left startled when the book suddenly slammed closed, causing you to jerk back. You tilt your head up and meet eyes with the very same wide, reddish eyes of the boy back at the library. You give him an awkward smile and a peace sign. He kept staring at you. "Well, you have all the right to stare at me. I did sit on you." "Hey there. Sorry for what happened back in the library. You're my classmate. That's a surprise. Hope we'll get along." Okay. Being caught in the act wasn't part of your plan. Quickly swerving around, you're now properly facing forward, ignoring the burning stare of the male behind your head. "Your name contradicts with your whole glam, not gonna lie, brah. Your name means the exact opposite to what you're wearing, if I've gotta be honest. Not that you don't dress well, I mean, you look good." The pinch of red makes its way to his face. Soul bit his lower lip as he readjusts his collar. "I should just shut the fluff up." "No, you shouldn't. You should keep talking, Espoir." He averts his gaze, biting his inner cheek. "Thanks. You look good, too." I should introduce myself before this gets any more awkward. "Well, I'm Espoir du Vide. Nice to finally know your name, Soul." I think he tries to draw if I say I'm not good at art. "Everyone starts somewhere. Would you like me to draw you first, then?" "If it's not too much trouble." "Just great, Espoir. First time partnering up with this new guy, and you're already letting him do the work. I'm no better than those past classmates of mine who would push their workload on somebody else." "Not at all." "Well, we'll let it slide this one time. Don't beat yourself up about it too much." With that, Soul takes out his own sketchbook and pencil, sitting upright and facing you. You straightened up your back, sitting properly as if you're about to take an ID picture. "Is this okay?" Relax your shoulders. Feel at home. Expressionism is about expressing yourself. Just pose however you'd like.
"Oh, okay."
Your breathing stopped. You can feel Soul's hand brush along your forehead to your ear, tucking away a stray hair that was covering your face. You could almost smell his mint in his breath. You were sure you were
bright as a cherry by now.
Hee.
Soul leaned back and didn't say anything as he began sketching, his eyes hopping from the paper to your face, and you swear every time you meet his gaze, your heartbeat quickens. You averted your gaze, distracting yourself from his focus as you try to calm your beating heart. The class eventually came to an end as your professor was giving one last reminder to your class before dismissing everyone. One by one, everyone packed their things and left the classroom while some stayed and discussed more about the exhibit. Sadly, Soul isn't done with your portrait, which you were dying to see, but he said he was going to keep it a secret until he finishes it.
You better not make me look funny.
What makes you think of that? It's not like I gave you a mustache or something.
What? Let me see.
I'm kidding.
He didn't know what came to him when he raised his hand to try and cup your cheek. He stopped midway, however, and tucked it in his pocket.
You're so pretty.
Did you say something, Soul?
Nothing.
Do I take his hand or do I take his arm? I don't know. Is he in danger of dying? Oh, he's got a -1. I didn't know it could go in the negatives. Oh, he's all sad now. Oh. I wonder if there's a way to make this, like, even. What are you grinning for? Chair? Oh, what if I take his arm this time? You didn't take his outstretched hand, but rather boldly wrapped your arm around his, earning a look of surprise from his azure eyes. Or does that give him more points? He didn't question you on the matter, but a wide smile made its way to his features, while a slight blush dusted his cheeks. He holds onto your arm tight and leads the both of you away from the school grounds. By the time you and Crowe made it to the park, it was already sundown, and stars slowly started painting the sky.
Ooh.
What if I say I do not believe in the gods?
You don't?
No, I don't. I believe in one's hard work. Does that count? Crowe merely chuckled at your statement. With a hand resting on his chest, he shakes his head slightly, as if he couldn't believe he had just heard what you said. I don't mind people who believe in them. I just don't like the way some of them worship the very ground these so-called gods walk on. You scoffed. I believe that everything is made possible through everyone's efforts, be it as a team or as an individual. Their believers only give credit to these deities for everything, and it's an insult to the forgotten people who sacrificed themselves to make things happen. You recalled the townsfolk who endlessly praised and worshipped your patron deity for the bountiful harvest you and your family broke sweat and tears for. You watched as the efforts of your labor were all thrown to some invisible being which, as far as you knew, returned nothing but calamities one after the other. 'Twas only a miracle that you, your father, and that farmland are still standing and your crops still thriving, even after so much damage. Crowe notices the way your brows furrow. He says nothing, but the look in his eyes tells you that he shares your sentiments wholeheartedly.
This is why we're two peas in the same pod.
How about you? Do you believe in gods? You turn to Crowe, repeating the same question he asked you earlier. He scans your face, your eyes, your nose, then your lips. I don't know if I can give you any lips, Crowe. That might get you killed. Why don't we just hug instead? You didn't feel as bad as before, but your vessel is not completely empty yet. Somehow, just looking at Crowe, at the comfort he's brought you, made you want to bask in it longer until you were sure you had no tears left to shed. Leaning down once more, you bury your face in the crook of his neck, and his arms instinctively wrap around you. His hug warm and soothing as he waits for you to gather your thoughts. Aww. Crowe rubs circles on your back, a silent way of telling you that he was there. You were not alone, and that he'd be there whenever you needed him. He didn't say a word, understanding that you need silence more than anything right now. You couldn't thank him enough for always knowing what you needed. You have no idea exactly how long you remained in that embrace while lying down in the grass, but you feel a lot better and are ready to get back up on your feet. You pull away, meeting Crowe's eyes that seem to ask after your well-being. Fixing his collar, he turns to you. Are you good to go? You could read that just from his gaze. You nod slightly, and it's only then that Crowe completely releases you from his embrace, helping you sit up before he dusts off the grass that stuck to his shirt. He gives you a once-over and gently swats away the leaves on your hair and clothes. You blink at him. He only smiles at you. You get up and Crowe retrieves his bag, almost forgotten by the tree. He looks back at you and takes your hand silently. It was time to go. It was time to leave this magical place. You look at the stars and how brightly they shone. You gave the sky one last glance before turning away, hand clasped tightly around Crowe's as you let him lead you home. Uh-oh. Oh no. Come on, it's just a 4. It's just a 4, Soul. It's not an 11 this time. Soul, please. Soul, no. Okay, I think we successfully made it to day 2. Day 2. The kingdom. The sun setting by the horizon colors the grassy field into a deep golden orange as the wind made some strands of hair brush across your face. Your ever-beloved home, the tall grass, the fresh air, the various farm animals that you and your family raised since you were but a mere child. You can't even imagine what was happening before you right now as a group of people came while they talked with your father. Your only family member left. You see the distress in your father's eyes as he tries his best to negotiate with the people before him. The desperation in his voice, the sweat running down his neck as he moves around his hand, gesturing this and that. Please, just give me one more time. I promise I can pay up. This is all we have left. I don't know where else to go if we lose this farmland. We've given you enough chances already, Mr. David. If you don't pay up your debt, we'll take your land. No, not my father's land. The loud ringing of the school bell rang across the hallway, making you jerk out of your thoughts. Students came out through their classroom doors. You feel someone shaking you awake. You sat up and met face to face with Crowe. Well, good morning, Sleeping Beauty. You let out a yawn. You rubbed your eyes as you looked around. Your fellow classmates are now gone from their seats as it's now lunchtime. What did I miss? Nothing important. Though, if you're having doubts, I can lend you my notes afterwards. Thanks, Crowe. You're a lifesaver. Hopefully I don't get you killed. Anything for you, Espoir. You recalled the little dream you had. You quickly shake it off as you let out a stretch, popping a few joints before you got up and went out of your classroom with Crowe in tow. You met up with a group of friends, seeing Daryl and Gio and Crowe waiting by the lockers, Brittany coming along behind them and Jess. You waved at them. Good noon to y'all. Regards, Daryl. How was class? Boring and boring. So glad to be out of there. One more useless minor and I'll be out of here. Gio shrugged, a hand in his hoodie pocket while the other on his phone. We got to at least do something in our major today, though, which I'm glad about. More papers, but it was at least something. Enough about papers. So about the Halloween party. Any ideas for a costume yet? We should all do a group costume. We should all do like a group costume thing. As they talked with each other, at the corner of your eye, you noticed a familiar figure. Aw, Hyugo, you stabbed me in the back! It was Soul. He came out of a classroom, and another person came afterwards behind him, seemingly bored out of his mind. Join Soul, call Soul over, stay with the group. I don't know. What can make this even? Soul? Let's hang out with Soul a little bit. You turn your head to Crowe in a shy manner, almost hesitant to talk. Oh, Crowe, is it okay if I leave? I have somewhere to be. Is that so?
There was a slight disappointment in his voice before he lets you continue on.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't hang out.
Nonsense. I'll see you after lunch instead then, Espoir. If ever you're interested, of course.
Sure thing.
You give Crowe one last smile before heading over to where Soul and his companion is. You walk towards the two individuals. They seem to be in a deep conversation. However, Soul noticed your presence and stopped talking, his attention now on you. His companion noticed the change in his friend's demeanor and follows his gaze as it lands on you. The shorter male greeted you with a smile.
Hi there. You're friends with Sonny? Sonny. Sonny? Sonny!
He pats Soul on the back, causing the taller man to jerk slightly forward. Soul gives him an irritated look, observing the way his face is slowly turning red.
Oh, you know, because he's such a sunshine. He's Sonny.
You let out a small giggle, shifting your eyes towards Soul as he catches your gaze on his. Upon landing eye contact, Soul quickly averts his gaze away from yours, holding up his hand as he tries his hardest to hide his face away.
Like a nickname? Yes, Sonny loves the nickname I gave him. Right, Sonny?
Soul remains silent, still refusing to meet your gaze.
What? It's adorable. That's adorable.
For a moment, the three of you were silent before the shorter male speaks up once more.
You sure have taste, Sonny. She's very pretty, like you said.
A blush makes its way to your face. Scratching the back of your head, you bit your bottom lip as you let out a small thank you.
Anyway, nice to meet you. My name's Hyugo. I'm this big old grumpy's best friend.
Espoir, a pleasure to meet you too.
He extends his hand for you to take in, which you merely accept, shaking it and puts it back on his side, a smile on his face as he did so. So, anyway, where are you up to, Espoir?
Oh, I just saw you both and I wanted to greet you.
And maybe avoid getting Crowe killed.
Anyway, we're planning to go to the rooftop today and eat lunch there. The weather's doing better, unlike yesterday. You want to tag along with us, Espoir?
You guys aren't a fan of the cafeteria?
Upon mentioning the cafeteria, Soul shivered as Hyugo only gave a small chuckle. Sonny isn't a huge fan of the noise there. Let's get going, shall we?
Sure.
Hyugo walks to his usual spot and got himself seated on a bench that you somehow never took notice before. Soul follows along, and in his hands is a large wrapped box that caught your attention. Sit beside Soul, sit between them, sit beside Hyugo. Let's sit between them. You point to the box nestled in Soul's hands.
Is that your lunch, Soul?
You can say that. As Soul unwrapped the cloth, showing you 3 bento boxes, he takes out the first bento box that was settled on top before giving the second one to Hyugo. Hyugo happily accepts the box, thanking Soul before taking out his chopsticks. Opening the container, Hugh lets out an awe sound, his eyes sparkling, drool slowly seeping out of the corners of his open mouth.
You actually listened. And did you cut these tiny sausages into octopuses? I want tiny sausages cut into octopuses.
Keep your voice down. It's ringing in my ear.
Wait, I need to take a picture of it.
Placing the box gently on his lap, Hyugo rummages through his pockets before taking out his phone. Opening his phone's camera, he flips it horizontally, then starts clicking away, taking 1 or 2 photos. Well, I mean, of course. Hyugo lifts the container back into his hands, but not before turning to you and showing you what he kept gushing about.
Oh my. Oh.
Want. Isn't it adorable, Espoir?
There, you see, are various ranges of food with rice shaped to match a moth, seaweed to design the face, along with using a cabbage leaf to form its wings. Aw. Right below the moth are many sausages shaped like octopuses, wonderfully cut carrots, which were made to look like stars, and squeezed beside stuffed shiitake mushrooms. I'm drooling now. The egg roll sushi and broccoli with melted cheese as a dip looked delicious.
Oh. I almost feel bad to eat it, especially with how cute this little guy is.
Hyugo points at the silk moth-shaped rice.
it's got a little tummy and it's got little legs. Ikitakimasu. I assume that's what that says. Without wasting another second, Hyugo starts digging in, scruffing down on the rice like a wild, hungry animal. Did you make this by yourself, Soul?
You can say that.
Soul answers, opening his own container. You thought you'd see another form of food art made by Soul himself within the container, but instead was greeted by a simple ham and cheese sandwich. Aw. He takes out a slice, but before he could take a bite, he turns to you.
Have you eaten, Espoir?
No, I'm so hungry. Soul's eyes went wide, and Hyugo gave you a shocked look. Before you knew it, Soul takes out another box and settles it on your lap.
You can have this. It's an extra.
Why do you have an extra?
I didn't like how this looked, but I figured I can let Hyugo finish it. It's a waste of ingredients.
You don't have to, Soul, really.
No, I insist.
Oh, for fluff's sake, just eat the same box. Hyugo, who clearly had enough of the back-and-forth banter, suggests the idea before returning to his own box. Soul hesitates, but he eventually takes out a spoon and a fork, handing them to you. Thank you. Ooh, what happens if I tease him? You decline his offer of the utensils. He raises a brow in confusion.
You don't want the fork? Or do you prefer the spoon? I have chopsticks if you want.
No, nothing of the sort.
Then what is it?
I want you to feed me. Soul's breath hitched. His face went bright red at your wild suggestion. Hyugo gives you both a side eye. Your proclamation was enough for him to actually stop eating, shooting you both a judgmental look as if saying, "Really? Right in front of my bento box?" He scoots a bit away from the two of you, not wanting to be part of your little fiasco as he returns to his meal. That's why I sat directly in between you two, so you could see me flirting. Soul, however, was nervous for a bit, his eyes still transfixed on yours. Still couldn't believe what you asked from him. Are you just going to keep staring at her or what?
Shut up. I'll feed her.
Soul takes the spoon, a little bit too harshly, and scoops out some rice and a piece of the sausage, his whole face turning red to the point it reaches the tips of his ears. Rice and sausage, I haven't had that in a while. With a shaky hand, he lifts the spoon for you to take. You took a bite and chewed. The mixture of flavors, how the rice remains warm and fluffy, and the sausage's savory taste helps balance it out, sending a tingling feeling down your spine from your mouth. It's amazing. It's delicious. I wish I was eating rice and sausages right now. Soul, this is really good. Hyugo nods along with you with gusto, food stuffed in one cheek like a hamster. I know, right? You'd honestly be surprised. Soul, you'd make a great house husband. Soul's eyes widened at your declaration.
You really think so?
I really do think so. Do you? Soul is definitely house husband material, Espoir. He can cook, he can clean, he can do anything.
I'd rather not be your own personal butler.
That was a compliment. The two banter, but you couldn't help looking at Soul and the way his eyes sparkle. Aw, Soul's imagining being my little house husband. They almost remind you of bright fireworks during the new year. Aw. This city is corrupted, he mutters under his breath, which makes me question, Espoir. How were you able to get into the city? No, the better question is, why did you enroll in this school, if you don't mind me asking, that is? You're clearly not from here. Your eyes widen at the words that the well-dressed man said. No, I refuse. Espoir, I thought You're not taking this farm, my home. You cut your father's words off, marching towards the tall man with loud and heavy footsteps. The tall man, however, raised a brow at you, raising his hand to halt his men. His deep magenta eyes that turned to look straight into yours, it sent a chill down your spine.
Fancy. He's so fancy.
Whoa. A bit feisty seeing that this is our first meeting, right? Let me introduce myself first. My name is... but you may call me Mr. Z. And as for our little agenda, how about this, little lamb? If you manage to pay off your debt for the next 5 years, I'll let you off the hook and let you keep your land.
5 years? I can handle that. Maybe working 3 jobs would do it for you.
He tuts, waving a finger in front of your face. He looks down at you, reminding you of your place, a mischievous smile appearing on his handsome features. But I have some conditions you need to meet. You went silent. Your heart starts pounding in your chest as you kept eye contact with his sharp magenta eyes. I want you to stay in the city.
The city?
We can't even afford to take her to college. What more moving to the city? Your father...
Daisy, I'm trying to stop this very handsome man from taking our farm.
She wants to get in the closet.
There's nothing in the closet.
I'll provide her with education and accommodation. Suddenly, he bursts out in laughter, throwing his head back a bit as if he had just heard a very funny joke. See? I'm not that cruel. Wouldn't you agree, Espoir? But just like I said before, I want you to pay off your debt. Land doesn't come in cheap, darling. And I've been very patient with how long this land's payment's been postponed. Listen here, pimp named Slickback. A sudden jerk on your collar made your heart jump, his face now mere inches away from yours, his brows furrowed in anger and filled with spite. Espoir! Not one step, old man! He screams at your father, not sparing him a glance as he kept his hold on your collar. You try to claw his hands away from it, but to no avail, seeing that you're losing more air the more you struggle. Listen here, punk. I don't care what kind of method you're going to do in order to make money. A dark smile appeared on his face. It sends a shiver down your spine. Being a good citizen and get a part-time job like the rest, or sell yourself out in strip clubs. Legal or illegal. I don't fluffing care, as long as you reach the amount. If not, well, you can say goodbye to your little farmland.
No, not the farm, not my cows.
He says that, but there was a gleam in his eyes that was telling you that that's not all. Letting go of your collar, he steps back as you greedily take in the air that you lost, tears making their way towards your eyes, threatening to drop. So, little fawn, what's it gonna be? All right, that seemed pretty much the same as before, but I honestly can't remember if I had the option to go somewhere else in the last update, so let's try that. You glance at the blonde-haired woman as she waits for your answer. You turn to Crowe. He too was anticipating an answer from you as a nervous drop of sweat rolled down his temple. You've got to be honest. Crowe was right. All of this is still quite overwhelming for you. Throughout your years here, you've only gotten used to Crowe's presence and his alone, but then, yesterday, he introduced you to his new group of friends you didn't know he had. You're happy for him, you really are, but why does it feel like a lie whenever you tell yourself that? Why does your heart swell and your stomach churn from the thought of him not being by your side all the time? The horrible feeling of green envy and raging jealousy consumes you ever since the thought comes across your mind. A sudden lump made its way to your throat, hindering you from forming words as you can feel your eyes threatening to water while your shoulders started trembling. You need to get out of here. I need to go. Espoir? You ignored him and the group as you pushed him away.
earning a shocked look on both Brittany and Crowe's face. Espoir! Wait! Man, I didn't think Brittany would make someone cry by being so bad at communication.
For fluff's sake, Daryl, shut it. I didn't mean it, okay?
What? I'm right, aren't I? I'm going after her.
Huh?
Ichabod! I wonder if Geo and Crowe have some kind of history together. Crowe didn't listen to his friends calling out his name, especially Geo, as he ran after Espoir, rushing out of the room hoping to catch up to her. You shove through the sea of students, receiving some irritated looks after pushing them aside. Their looks don't matter to you, however, as you try to get out of the crowd as quickly as possible. Espoir! Wait! Crowe's booming voice behind you isn't helping your rising anxiety, and your tears now slowly cascading down your cheeks. Espoir! Please, wait! What's wrong? Stop! Crowe cries out with each breath he takes. You keep ignoring him. You turn a corner, hoping to lose Crowe in the crowd. The worried tone in his voice just makes the ache in your chest more and more painful. You didn't care how many floors you ascended as you ran up from one floor to another, nearly tripping on the school's bad architecture. We got the bad steps! Before you knew it, you made it to the school's rooftop. Pressing an ear on the door, you don't hear Crowe's call anymore, and you let out the breath you were holding. And then, everything slowly crashes down on you. You fall to your knees and hug them, not bothering with how dirty the floor is anymore. You look up as a few droplets of rain slowly drop down from the sky, a reflection of the salty tears now staining your cheeks. I'm so pathetic. Crowe is his own person. I feel so selfish to even think I'm his only friend like he is to me. Of course he can have other friends besides me. But why does it hurt? Is it because I'm just some nobody? All of them look so cool, especially that Brittany girl. She's tall and pretty. Heck, I might mistake her for a model if it weren't for her uniform. She seems like Crowe's type. The familiar, ugly feeling made its way to your chest. You tightly clenched your fist to where your aching heart is. You want to rip it out in the open and toss it from the edge of the building.
You can't do that. You'd die.
Will he leave me if he deems me unworthy? Was I ever worthy to be beside him? You can't think anymore. You don't want to think anymore. The tears now flooding your eyes as your sniffles turn into sobs, and you bury your face onto your knees as you cry your heart out, the rain now heavy, as if resonating with your sorrows. I made the world sad. You have no idea how long you've been crying, but you've run out of tears to shed, and have been staring at a blank space for a while now. Maybe it's time to head back. You look up at the dark skies, the rain slightly calmer, but still not stopping its downpour. Standing up and dusting your back, you were about to grab the handle when you heard another voice from the other side. Your heartbeat quickened. You swore you were alone when you got here, and you were blocking the door the entire time, so someone coming in would be near impossible. You're curious how this individual managed to get past you. Or maybe they were just here before you. Who knows? Forgetting your initial plan, you slowly approach the voice, making sure not to make too much noise as possible. Cute! Just as you suspected, there is someone. A young man in a green vest. Must be his uniform. Hair in the shade of light blue, like how they remind you of the skies before it darkened, tied into a low ponytail by a white ribbon. He seems to be in a deep conversation with whoever it was behind the phone he held to his ear. You can't quite hear the conversation he was having, much less understand what he's talking about. You assume he's speaking in a whole new different language. You step back. You're guessing this student is a foreigner. Seeing that he seems to pose no threat, you're about to leave when you felt a hand grab your shoulder. You stood frozen on your spot as you felt a huff of breath fan your neck. Something cold and sharp touched the side of your throat, and you were no fool to understand quickly that it was a small knife he's threatening you with. Whomst? Is that Hyugo? How'd you get here so fast? And why are you so pretty? Who are you? Speak, unless you want to get yourself into big trouble. Stay silent or surrender? What happens if I stay silent? Get myself killed, but I don't know. It's hard kind of to talk with a knife on my neck, buddy. Not talking, huh? You have the right to remain silent. But in this case, I need you to talk. You feel the sharp edge of the knife cut through your skin. The stinging sensation made your head spin as you slowly started breathing fast. In your state of panic, you try to jab his abdomen with your elbow, hoping to catch him off guard to escape, only to have him grab that same elbow and twist it behind your back, earning a loud squeal from you.
I'm Espoir du Vide from Class 4B. Please don't kill me. I'm adorable.
You yelp out. The hand on your shoulder went loose as you feel him withdraw the knife. Taking it as a chance to push yourself off of him, and turning around to face the blue-haired, knife-wielding student, you had the urge to throw a punch in his face. Instead, you didn't. Rather, what you came face to face with was a look of confusion across his face with a hand under his chin. He isn't even looking at you. I'm insulted. How rude. You should punch him anyway. Espoir du Vide. Why does that name sound familiar? Are you some weird dimension-hopping YouTuber who goes around collecting fictional husbands or something? And Class 4B, too. Now's your chance, while he's distracted by his own thoughts. Punch him in the stomach! No, don't do that to Hyugo. Hyugo is sweet boy, even though he had a knife pointed at my neck just a second ago. You pathetically threw a punch at him. He, however, merely catches your fist with a single palm, his other hand never leaving his chin as he keeps pondering over his thoughts. Okay, that's kind of hot. It's kind of hot. I like that. That's hot. That's hot. That would make me blush. That's hot. I like that. Dude completely no-sells your punch, and he's like, what should I have for dinner tonight? Hurt! Why did you even bother? You were never the strongest in your family. I remember now. You swore you saw a light bulb lit up on the top of his head. He lets go of your fist and pockets his tiny knife, which turned out to be a foldable pocket knife, and gives you a bright smile as if he didn't just threaten your life mere seconds ago. What impeccable timing you have at the moment, Espoir. He puts his hands together like a prayer and bows down, double taking his sudden shift in attitude. I'm in need of your help. You see, I can't attend my next class due to some familial emergency, and I promised my partner I'd be there. But, seeing that you're in Class 4B, can you take over for me? What? Who does this guy think he is? Your next class is Art Appreciation with Mr. Allen, correct? And how does he know your next class is Art Appreciation with Mr. Allen? Whoa, hold on. First of all, who the fluff are you? Second, why do you have a pocket knife within school campus? And third, why would I agree to your terms after you literally just threatened my life just like that? As if realizing the situation, he lets out a gasp and his mouth shaping an, oh, yeah, you had a knife in my neck. You cut me. He fixes his posture, then gives you a wink and a thumbs up. The name's Hyugo Sugimoto, and I'm from Class 4B. But I often have classes mixed with Mr. Allen to catch up on my missing subjects from past years. This guy is a clear troublemaker. He just rubs the back of his head and chuckles as he continues with your next question. Taking out the pocket knife, he dangles it like some toy and presents it to you like it's the most exquisite thing you've ever laid your eyes on. You rolled your eyes. This? He waves the pocket knife left and right. It's for self-defense. The guards are quite crappy at their jobs in expecting each bag. Things as little as these are easy to slip by. Plus, it's quite useful if you're ever in a pickle. We're in school grounds. Just use scissors like any other normal human being. He puts his tool back into his pockets. And as for your last question, his expression relaxed, his goofy persona thrown out the window as quick as it came, his tone now a bit serious as his gaze fixated on you. Do you have friends, Espoir? Okay, that kind of offended you a little bit. Yes, I do. Then why were you up here crying in the rain like some music video?
Yeah, but don't you ever think you feel like you're not doing much for them? That made you shut your thoughts up. Not gonna lie, he's not really the best guy out there. He blabbers on with the thought of whoever his friend is, but judging from the way he talks, he seems to care for him, admire him even. But people tend to misunderstand him. Quite a lot. Heck, even I did. I thought I couldn't trust this guy with anything. Like how you didn't trust Crowe with anything before. Sorry for threatening you with a knife, Espoir.
Apology accepted.
But what I'm saying is that oftentimes I can never be there for him. I've given up on the thought of staying by his side. But you, however, there was a gleam in his eyes you couldn't seem to decipher. That looks like the look of someone who wants to manipulate me. Maybe you'll understand him. Get to the point. Please be his partner for your art class. And he's down on his knees like a begging clown. The serious tone he had beforehand is now replaced with a blabbermouth crybaby before you. Seriously, he had you fooled there for a hot second. Okay, I'll be your friend's art class partner. Get the fluff up. You mean it? Thank you, Espoir. I knew you were the right person. Just... who is this friend of yours anyway? He better be cute and tall. His name's Soul. Don't worry, you won't miss him. Without sparing you another second in trying to ask for more information from him, he gives you a friendly pat on the shoulder before leaning in and whispering, "Wipe your tears away, Espoir. Crying does not suit people like you." And with that, he's going down the stairs. You only stared at the now open door, your feet rooted on the cold tile floor from pure shock. How does he know I was crying? You were now walking down the hallway. A few students were heading to their own respective classes, while some went to where the library was. Espoir! Oh, one heart attack after the other. You swore this day refuses to give you a break. You aren't ready to face Crowe yet. He's probably worried sick, especially with what you pulled minutes ago. Has it been minutes? You were probably lost in your thoughts for too long that you suddenly felt arms wrap around you, Crowe's face buried in the crook of your neck as he held you tight. His shoulders were shaking. There was no one else besides him. It was just you and him. I looked around the campus for you. Where have you been? I went to the roof. Did you not check the roof? You bit your lip, not giving him a chance to hear your voice. Crowe pulls away from your neck, but still kept his hold around you. You refused to look him straight in the eyes, and he didn't push you for it, only satisfied with you in his arms. Oh, Crowe is so sweet. A sigh escaped his lips. With one hand he cups your cheek and rubs it with his thumb as he observes your red and swollen eyes. He bit his lower lip, a flash of regret made apparent within his eyes. Just then, behind the both of you, you heard a lone student call out Crowe's name. You swore that Crowe's eyebrow arched and twitched as if irritated. There you are, Ichabod. Your presence is required by the council. I don't fluffing care. What was that, Ichabod? I couldn't quite hear you. I'll be right there. I'm trying to comfort my girlfriend who ran off crying, Crowe says, his back still facing the student. The student merely raised a brow but didn't insist any further and walked away in the opposite direction. It would be so cute, and I don't know if this is the direction that's gonna happen. It would be so cute if Crowe can be just as yandere as Soul, because he loves you just as much. Crowe lets out a tired sigh as he returns his full attention to you. Give me a text once you're ready to talk. Pulling away, albeit hesitantly, he rummages for something in his pockets before taking out one of your hands and placing something in it. Without turning your head, you look down and saw a handkerchief on your palm. I'll see you later, Espoir. He turns on his heel and moves to the same direction where the student from before had headed. Once he was gone from your sight, you squeezed his handkerchief and used it to wipe your cheeks, despite the salty tears that dried at this point. Pocketing the blue handkerchief, you slowly made your way to your next class. Instead of skipping school and doing all that, What if we go to the library with Crowe, like we should be doing, and doing our schoolwork because we're in school?
I'm going to the library. Would you like to join me?
You give him a nod, earning a smile from him as he makes his way towards the exit. Crowe waits for you as you gathered your things before leaving the classroom and to the library. Unlike lunchtime, where everyone is free, the library contains only a few students, some either doing their student duties, while some doing their own research.
Same spot, then?
You read my mind. Better not be any cute green-haired guys in my chair. Meanwhile, you make your way towards the tall bookshelves, scanning through each spine of each book. You try to look for something that might catch your interest. Minutes passed and nothing seemed to catch your fancy. You sighed upon realizing this predicament. Giving up, you decide to just pick up the closest book and hope for the best that it's decent enough for your paper. Feeling a thick book, you pull it out. And nearly drop it. It's heavy? Regaining your balance, you held onto the thick book properly and finally checked the title of the massive tome. The Biography of Marie Antoinette. Gimme that! Your eyebrows rise in mild curiosity. This might actually work. You flip it open and you are met with a very well-drawn portrait of a very prestigious-looking woman. Flipping through more pages, your eyes land on a drawn figure of the same woman, but her kneeled before a guillotine. Spoiler! Quite a spoiler, but you read through the text below the illustration. The execution. Such a gruesome end, you thought. Deciding with this book, you tucked it under your arm for safekeeping. You take a look one last time around the bookshelves, maybe finding something of the same genre. You notice a particular book sticking out at the very edge of the bookshelf. It was a bit worn out and dirty. You're kind of wondering how it ended up there. You inched a bit closer to it. The spine didn't have anything on it besides a few worn edges, bent and littered with dust. You got up on your tiptoes as you reached out to grab the book. However, the moment you grab it and pull it out, the bookshelf started wobbling. You immediately stopped. Leave it or keep trying to pry it out? I want that old mysterious book! With determination, you held onto the shelf, making sure not to make it wobble any further as you take a firm grip on the worn book. Come here, you! I got it! Whoop! The bookshelf wobbles from the force of you pulling the lone book, threatening to push you down, making your heartbeat quicken from the sheer thought of getting crushed under the tall shelves. You quickly held out your arms wide as you try to rebalance the shelf, hoping it was enough to stop it from shaking. Man, they really did give us the crappy school, didn't they? Jeez. Got these worn books, got the wonky stairs. A few books fell then and there, making you wince. But you successfully stabilized the shelf. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. Hope no one heard that. Anyway, what is this that's so stuck in the darn thing? You flip open the cover, only to see a blank page. No author whatsoever, save for the paper. The edges of it a bit yellow from age. The dust isn't helping either. You went through a few more pages, and there you finally get to see some printed words on it. The various torture devices and executions of the medieval times. How the fluff did this end up in a school library? Then again, I might be able to get some material out of this. You shrug, closing the book, and tucked it under your arm with the large biography book and left the area, returning to where Crowe is settled. The silence is quite suffocating, the air now a bit awkward. Your will to write dissipates and was replaced by your concern over the man beside you.
Say, I've got a bit of a scenario for you to play along with, Espoir.
Crowe's previous gloomy attitude was replaced by a playful tone, facing his body towards you with his pen set down, discarding his thoughts from the paper. His sudden change in demeanor caught you by surprise, but he didn't spare you a moment to question him as he raised a finger.
Imagine yourself living in the same time as the Queen, and that you were given the chance to actually befriend her, even though you came from nothing. You often questioned how you managed to befriend the Queen herself. She's been nothing but kind to you, often inviting you to her parties and giving you the fanciest gifts ranging from dresses to jewelries. Now, here comes my first question. What do you think of the Queen?
I don't remember if this was in the last update. She's highly suspicious. I think nothing of her. I see her as a friend. I think she's my buddy. I would be lulled into a false sense of security. Well, I'd obviously see her as a friend. She clearly sees me as one. Sure, I'd be a bit embarrassed from the amount of gifts she's given me. If I was in that situation, I'd be thankful, and probably say that her friendship is enough and no amount of physical goods can measure the gratitude I'm feeling towards her. Crowe went silent, a bit awed by your answer. Then a smile broke free on his face. Scratching his cheek, his smile grew wider towards you. Why do you say this? Why do you say this, Crowe? Ichabod? Why do you bring this up?
Such a noble response, expected from you, Espoir.
Now, what's that supposed to mean? You pout, crossing your arms in the process. Crowe merely chuckles. Then you can feel his hand brushed against yours, squeezing your hand in the process. You swear you can feel your face heating up. Wait, let me check the scoreboards. I'm getting too intimate here. Come on, Soul, it's only 2 points. He's got a 9, you've got a 7. It's fine.
Oh, but this scenario isn't over yet.
It's not?
Nope. Here's the follow-up scenario.
He sits up properly, removing his hand on yours as you anticipate his next words. Crowe takes a breath, almost contemplating on his next words before speaking.
What if, one day, you decide to go out of her palace, wanting to either do groceries or even visit your family? And there is where you see a group of people. They're all mad, each throwing one profanity to another. Upon coming closer, it was about the Queen. You decide to come closer. They're in a heated debate, but the loudest one, a farmer, loudly proclaims on how the Queen betrayed them. How the Queen is nothing but a greedy higher-up, using the commoner's hard-working labor for her to throw parties, leaving them starving. Then the other side speaks up, a woman, saying that the farmer is wrong, and that the Queen has been nothing but good to them, providing enough gold and food to keep them afloat. A child came and held onto the woman's leg, confirming her words. If it weren't for the Queen, the children wouldn't have homes. There you soon realize that they're a group of nuns, and behind them is an orphanage, a few children peeking through the windows as they try to comprehend what's going on and why they're screaming. Having had enough of the fight, you return to the Queen's castle, but just when you thought you escaped the circulating argument about the Queen, you hear a few whispers from nobles along the hallway. The Queen is nothing but a fraud. She's nothing but a selfish biscuit. She's doing nothing but bringing misery to the people around her. She isn't fit to be a noble. But that's pretty odd, isn't it? They're the same group of nobles who the Queen helped and tried to stop war from raging. Why are they talking about her? Is there something you aren't aware of about the Queen? Or are they doing it out of pure hatred?
Or are they jealous, 'cause her hair's bigger than theirs? He opened his eyes, the light still absent within the blue orbs as he focuses his gaze on your own. He leans a bit back, his form straight and firm.
Now, here's where you come in, Espoir. Which side do you believe in? The Queen who has been nothing but kind to you? Or the rumors circulating around her being a neglectful noble, a selfish woman, a tyrant?
He says the word tyrant with so much venom he spat it out like poison in his teeth. You thought long and hard on this little scenario, multiple thoughts swirling in your head. Listen, I am a Marie Antoinette apologist. Yeah, she's made a whole bunch of mistakes, and I don't know all the facts, but I just watched a lot of The Rose of Versailles. This all seems so complicated and suspicious, Crowe.
Take your time. It's fine for you not to respond. Just tell me. But I would love to hear your answer, Espoir.
I would still believe in the Queen. I believe in the Queen.
You do?
I do.
Even if rumors say that she's a bad person? Even if she's the cause of so many people suffering under her reign?
Let me see the receipts.
That's the loophole. It's just baseless rumors. If I want the truth, isn't it better to ask straight from the Queen? If she's aware that she's causing people much suffering, then I'd rather take it, knowing that she was aware and proceeds to be honest with me rather than lie to me. For a moment, Crowe was silent, his hands nestled on his lap. You couldn't see them, but you took notice of the way his shoulders trembled, his eyes gleaming.
What does this have to do with you, Crowe?
Is he about to cry? Oh, God, I didn't mean to. Crowe, I'm sorry.
You're too trusting. You know that, Espoir.
I do.
That would attract potential danger.
What? I just did what you told me to do, and that's answering your scenario.
His playful demeanor came back as quick as if he didn't just make up the most gut-wrenching scenario known to man.
He laughs, holding his chest as he wipes a stray tear away from the corner of his eye. What was that sudden scenario question for anyway? You hinting at some lore?
I just thought it would be a good idea for my paper. Am I right?
You have to admit, it was a good idea, and can probably entertain your teacher for quite a bit. I can't believe you let me go through that brain exercise just for this silly paper of ours.
Well, better get to writing, Espoir. We're almost running out of time.
What? But how about you? Your paper's still blank.
If I could make up that silly scenario, then I can absolutely make up another one on a whim. Plus, your response is enough to fill in my little writer's block, so I'd like to thank you for helping me.
You're so good when it comes to writing stories, Crowe. You should be a writer.
I'll think about your suggestion.
Stretching out your arms, letting out a sigh of relief, looking at your paper that you've made as you skim through it one last time. You were too caught up in the conversation with Crowe, you nearly forgot about the worn book you brought along. You picked it up and started flipping through the first pages. Torture devices, execution devices. Why the fluff are you reading this again?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the famous torture device the Iron Maiden? It was never actually used.
Ooh.
Hold on. Hello there. What's your name, sir, in the book?
It could be the artist's style, but that looks a little bit like Soul. You turned to another page, and on it was a well sketch of a tall and bulk man, half of his face covered by his hood, with a large axe settled behind him. His arms are filled with scars, while around his neck is a chained collar.
A chained collar, you say?
He looks like those killers you often see in slasher films. Underneath the illustration, it reads, Executioner.
No, really, no, he's the gardener.
Some executioners were feared by the public, while the rest respected them, but mostly people shunned them for their field of work. The old times sure were brutal.
Your job is to kill people, and everyone will either respect you or be terribly afraid of you for the rest of your life.
You mutter under your breath.
I wonder if that's some lore.
Closing the book, you then stack it on top of the other books you and Crowe borrowed.
Do you have anything else to do today, Espoir?
Well, I have to do some quick grocery shopping before I go home.
I got nothing in my fridge but hopes and dreams. Well, in that case, would you mind me accompanying you?
Really? It's fine if you don't, if you have other things to do. Like look for Brittany and the others?
Not really. Besides, Daryl has after-class practice. Same with Gio. As for Brittany and Jess, they're catching up on their business proposal.
But don't you also need to catch up?
I can do them tomorrow. I'd like to spend the rest of the day with you, Espoir.
Your voice got caught up in your throat. You can feel your face heating up.
Stupid Crowe. Stupid feelings.
All right then. Crowe lets out a small cheer, kind of like a mini jump from that game with an Italian plumber. It made you giggle a bit. Without wasting much time, you and Crowe head out of the school campus. The sun slowly sets on the horizon after you and Crowe finished up buying some groceries. Crowe offered to carry your bags and walk you home all the way back to your apartment, just like the day before.
We should do this every day.
But don't you live on the other side of the city?
Nothing wrong with that. Plus, my place isn't that far from the school anyway, so walking to your apartment and back is nothing to me.
Don't tell me you're the kind of person who would travel from one city to another while saying it's walkable. Crowe laughs, shrugging his shoulders as if saying, maybe. Ugh.
I love walking, especially during the night, and most especially when the stars are out.
I kind of agree with that. You stare at him up and down, your eyes often lingering on his hand. The temptation of holding it was gnawing at you, making you fidgety. This doesn't come unnoticed by Crowe as he gradually slowed down until he came to a stop, setting down the groceries. You stopped as well, raising a brow in concern as he looked at you with keen eyes.
Do you feel cold, Espoir?
No. What makes you think that? Without much of a warning, he takes both of your cold hands, cupping them in between his large ones as he begins to blow on them. Aww. His warm breath easing your cold fingertips. Your hands are now warm, but they couldn't compare to the heat of your face reaching the tips of your ears.
You keep shivering, so I thought I could warm you up a bit. I'm sorry I don't have a jacket, and I doubt my vest could do much to help.
It's all right, Crowe. You don't need to.
Your face is all red. Are you cold? Do you want to hold my hand during our walk?
Uh-oh. Let me check the scoreboard. Okay. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice to Crowe. Hopefully that doesn't get him killed. But I'm gonna be nice to Crowe. You hang your head down, too flustered to utter a single word. Your request got caught in your throat as your shyness overwhelmed you. Rather, you stared at Crowe's large hands wrapped around yours, not pulling away or protesting against it. Crowe noticed your averted gaze, your shy demeanor causing his lip to quirk up into a gentle smile. You almost chuckled when he realized how your eyes fixated on your joined hands. Freeing his right hand, Crowe picks the groceries back up, his left hand closed around yours, holding it firmly but gently. You swear he gives you a little squeeze as he tugs you along, continuing on with your walk. Uh-oh. Oh no! That's odd.
Something the matter?
I kind of feel something dripping. Oh, Fluff! Oh no! What seemed to be a soft drizzle suddenly turned into a wild downpour. You and Crowe made a run for it, trying your best to keep yourselves dry as Crowe shielded your groceries from getting wet. Thankfully, the side of your apartment complex came into view from a few feet away. A relieved sigh escaped past your lips. You turned to Crowe, who was doing everything he could to keep your bag dry, not even caring about the droplets of rain rolling down his cheek and his damp hair that clung to his face. Just a few more steps, Crowe. We're almost there. You ran up the road, hearing Crowe's heavy footsteps following behind you. All of a sudden, Crowe stops. His head turned to the bushes, his eyes growing wide as he opened his mouth in a near gasp. Crowe? What's wrong? It's not a body, is it?
Oh, one sec. Let's get these groceries and you to a cover.
Crowe hastily shoved your semi-damp plastic bags towards you, your arms suddenly carrying the weight of your groceries. You blinked a few times in confusion. Crowe? What? Whoa! Without much warning, Crowe lifts you off the ground. Shoot! With one of his arms wrapped around your shoulders and the other under your knees, he hoists you up. The shock from your feet leaving the pavement floor caused you to shriek as you clung around Crowe's neck, feeling the damp body press against yours. Jericho! What on earth? I didn't know you could pick me up! Crowe runs up to your apartment, carrying you like your weight meant nothing into his arms. He seemed distracted, your protest going unheard. Once he makes it to your doorstep, he sets you down before turning around and running back the way he came.
Get inside the apartment. I'll be right back.
You gripped your grocery bag tight as you stared at his figure, your heart drumming quite loudly within your chest. Did he
just pick me up and carry me all the way to my apartment that easily?" He barely even grunted. For someone so lean, you never expected him to actually lift you up like a sack of feathers. You start wondering if he works out. Oh shoot, what does he have under that purple dress shirt? You were too dazed, head afloat from what just occurred, to realize that Crowe finally came back. You gasped as you took in his entire body, now awfully drenched from head to toe, his hair dripping with water. His shoes sloshed as he walked, and his wet clothes clung to his skin. You noticed his vest missing, then you spot in his arms wrapped around something.
Did he find our little baby?
A sound came from the bundle that he carried in his arms, causing you to snap out of your thoughts.
Did I just hear his vest meow?
Let's get inside before we get any colder.
Once you and Crowe made it inside your apartment, the first thing you did was to grab 3 different towels. One for you, one for Crowe, and one for your new little friend.
I couldn't bear to leave him in the cold rain. Poor guy must have gotten abandoned by its mother.
Tiny baby! Tiny baby!
Wrapped in the small towel is a tiny black kitten. You know, we should be thankful that my landlord wasn't as his usual guest, right?
Pets aren't allowed here?
Other than that, Crowe paused a bit, understanding where you're coming from. A low chuckle left his lips, scratching his wet cheek.
He probably won't appreciate the puddle we made on his doorstep.
Ha, precisely.
Hey, water's gonna wet. You can't help that.
You both let out a small, awkward laugh, hoping that you wouldn't get caught the following day by the cameras around. Shoving the thought aside, you and Crowe stared at the kitten, now wrapped within the towel. Its beady eyes seemingly stared at both of you before breaking into mews and meows. You can feel your heart melt, and so did Crowe's.
Oh,
I'll take care of this little guy for now. You should probably dry up, Crowe.
Oh, he looks so cute without his vest.
Is that okay? I didn't expect to actually end up staying in your place. I won't be long, though. I'll get out of your hair as soon as I dry up.
I honestly don't mind you staying a bit longer. It's not a problem. I don't want you to catch a cold because of me.
Well, we'll take turns then. After I dry up, I'll take care of the kitten next.
Let me get you something to change.
There's really no need to.
Not giving him a chance to protest, you quickly head out to your bedroom. Rummaging through your drawers and cabinets, you try to find something that could fit Crowe. Then you remembered the oversized shirt you received during last sports day. You never understood as to why everyone needed to buy that shirt, but when you got yours, they had ran out of your own size, and you had no choice but to accept the shirt that was 1 size bigger than yours. Taking it out of the drawer, you make your way back. You head back to the living room, seeing Crowe, who remained still in his spot. His shirt had partially dried, and he had taken the kitten into his arms. The little creature was snugly wrapped in its warm blanket, reminding you of a burrito.
Oh, kitten burrito.
The sight of Crowe, gently holding the kitten, pierced a soft spot in your heart. This view was to die for, and you would have spent a few more seconds admiring it had you not noticed Crowe's shoulders shaking from the cold. You're shivering.
Nothing I can't handle.
Lies. The cat is doing a better job at getting warm than you. You teasingly roll your eyes at Crowe as you shove the shirt and another fresh towel in his direction. He chuckles, forced to give up the kitten to you as he accepts the change of clothes. Carrying the kitten in your arms, you lead Crowe to your bathroom, and he thanks you before stepping in and closing the door behind him. Hearing the tweak of the valve and the familiar sounds of the shower running, you remember how Crowe shivered all the way to the bathroom.
Oh.
You turn your heater up a bit before settling back down on the couch. You return your attention to the kitten, its fur now dry thanks to you and Crowe. The small feline looks up at you and meows, its little beady eyes staring up at yours. You put a finger on its head, petting it gently.
Little baby.
You must be hungry, little guy. You're lucky I went out grocery shopping. You want some ham? Scooping the tiny kitten in your arms, you make your way towards your kitchen. Setting the kitten down on the counter, you rummage through your fridge and cupboards for a clean bowl. You pick up your grocery bag from the floor, placing it on the kitchen table as you looked for the almond milk you remember getting. Heating the milk just warm enough, you observe the kitten as it breaks free from its warm confinement and looks around. The cat shivering in fear and caution of the unknown territory, yet remaining curious enough to look around. Setting the warm bowl of milk in front of the cat, you grabbed a chair, patiently waiting as it creeped closer to the bowl.
Aw, can kittens drink almond milk?
It takes one lap of the milk, then another, then one more before it happily drinks it up.
Aw, kitten laps.
A warm smile makes its way to your face. Seems you've got yourself all settled in.
Come on. Soul, listen, he's adorable. Soul, listen. Why can't there be a thing where we all just get along?
You hear Crowe's slightly amused voice and turn around to face him. You momentarily stop at the sight of him standing there, wearing the fresh shirt you handled him, with a towel around his neck.
Hee.
Now, out of his usual braids, his hair was let loose, a few droplets dripping from the semi-dry strands.
Thank you for letting me use your bathroom, Espoir. You don't mind me hanging my vest, right?
I don't mind. In fact, I can just hand your stuff to you tomorrow if you'd like. Crowe didn't answer, as he pointed his gaze downwards, dipping his head in an attempt to conceal the slight tint of pink brushing along his cheeks. He rubs his arm, a hit of embarrassment in his voice.
Sorry, I didn't think I would end up staying here a bit. But I'm thankful either way. Also, isn't this the first time I've been to your apartment? You've got a nice place.
Oh crap, he's actually right. You never really got any visitors, save for your father or your landlord. Other than that, you've never had anyone in here until now. And it's Crowe, too.
I know. Crow's in my house, in my room.
Just you two. Alone.
I'm probably talking too much. You should get changed, too.
Crowe's voice snaps you out of your thoughts, and you look up to realize he had already picked the kitten up from the counter. Crowe holds it in his arms, the feline faintly purring as it snuggles close to his chest, relishing in his warmth. Never thought you'd see the day when you'd be jealous over a cat, but here you are. Getting up from your chair, you accompany Crowe back into the living room before going to change as well. The sound of the shower head running fills your ears as you look down at your bathroom's white tiles, observing the water run down towards the sinkhole. The water heaters helped you warm up a bit, but you couldn't help the thoughts running through your mind. Thoughts that were mostly consumed by Crowe and the cat. Who's going to keep it? Why did he save it? And most importantly, what are we going to name it? How long is he planning to stay here? You look up, seeing his soaked vest and polo hanging on one of the bathroom railings. You should probably throw that in the dryer along with yours after. You let out a sigh, not wanting to waste any more water, and probably spend the next 30 minutes contemplating your life in the shower. You got out, dried yourself, and got yourself dressed. You returned to the living room, finding that Crowe had made himself comfortable on your couch, with the cat happily settled in his lap as he gives it a few pets. Sensing your presence, Crowe lifts his head and his eyes perk upon landing on your figure.
Welcome back. The cat's starting to relax. It's almost as if it belongs in this place.
Hey, don't give us both any ideas. He chuckles. You made your way to him, and you sink on the couch right by his side. You gaze at the cat curled up in his lap and purring away in content.
Aww.
You bit your bottom lip. Gosh, I wish that were me.
Cat 2, Espoir 0.
Have you thought of a name yet?
Actually, no. I'm never really good with names. How about you? Have you thought of a name for it?
He tilts his head to the side, awaiting your answer to his inquiry. Give the cat a name, let Crowe name it. Well, if I name it, I'm just gonna name it Alouette. I kind of want to call it. Well, what do you want to name it, Crowe? Why don't you try to name it?
Me? But the names I usually give are quite corny.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad.
Am I going to regret that word?
Crowe scans your face for confirmation. He genuinely seemed to think that he wasn't the best person for the task, but you clearly saw that glimmer of hope in his eyes.
Are you sure?
Of course I am. Don't make me use the back pedal button.
Are you really sure?
Yes, Crowe. Is he gonna name it Cat, but with a K? You roll your eyes in mock annoyance before giggling. Seeing that you're not budging from your choice, he sighs in defeat with a little troubled smile on his face. Crowe gazes at your ceiling in deep thought. He hums, biting the inner of his cheek as he closes his eyes, taking on the seemingly very serious task of giving the cat a good name. Crowe looks down at the kitten, in consideration, and its blue eyes mirrored his blue orbs as they stared at each other. Oh, they do both have blue eyes.
How about Regulus?
You're right, that's awful. We're calling him Alouette. Regulus?
That's right.
He picks up the cat and lovingly cradles it like a parent to their baby, letting the kitten rest on his right arm and booping its nose as he did so.
Regulus, named after the brightest star in the Leo constellation. Plus, his eyes are blue.
Crowe turns to you, seemingly excited, as he holds the cat in front of you, showing its eyes. You got to agree, its eyes are a bright shade of beautiful blue, reminding you of sapphire gems. The feline's dark fur accentuates his eyes further, helping it pop like a twinkling star in the night sky. You thought it was just like Crowe to name the cat after a constellation. You recall how he thought he was corny, but to you it was endearing that Crowe managed to leave traces of himself on things. I think Regulus is a beautiful name.
You don't think it's too complicated? Or too corny?
Corny? Pfft, no. In fact, it's unique. It's kind of nerdy, but it's very unique. I've never even heard of that star before. It's unique. I would never have come close to thinking of a name like that. I would have just used, the name of a bird in French. It's named after a star. You give beautiful names, Crowe. I love it. I'm going to call him Reggie. Crowe scratched the side of his face at the compliment, his cheeks growing red as he gazed fondly at the little furry creature.
Thank you. I'm surprised you didn't think it was weird. It is quite an unusual name.
It's not weird at all. If anything, this little guy deserves to have a name that's one of a kind. It's just like you to give a name like this, and I love seeing you be so just you, Crowe. You spoke so sincerely that you and Crowe fell silent for a moment. It was a pleasant kind of silence as Crowe let your words sink in. You stared into each other's eyes, as if an invisible force was pulling you in together. Hey, you. Kitten's like, don't you try to move in on my man, Espoir. Meow. The kitten's noise felt like electric zapping you as you both pulled away. You coughed, and Crowe cleared his throat, plastering on that familiar smile on his face.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Espoir.
Anyway, do you want something to eat? I can heat up some Hot Pockets we bought.
That would be wonderful.
The sun had set beyond the horizon hours ago, and you could see the sky painted black from your window. With the rain still pouring just as hard as before, Crowe decides to stay a little bit longer to enjoy your company. The kitten sleeps soundly on a nearby makeshift bed that you made together with Crowe. Aww. You sit beside him on the couch, the living room dimly lit with nothing but the television running what seems to be a slasher film. Okay, hear me out. Why did they have to make the serial killer so hot in this movie?
That is the accurate response. Excuse me?
I mean, look at him. He's clearly a pretty boy with that blonde hair and charming smile.
But that makes sense, right? Especially with this killer in the movie. Cunning and charming, he's a good manipulator, having to entice people so that he can kill them in the end. Throws the detectives off, right?
I guess that makes sense. They did a good job casting whoever the killer is. He's pretty good.
You know the actor?
No, how about you?
Surprised you don't know him. He's one of the best multi-talented idols in Titus City.
Ah.
You cast your eyes back to the screen, and you're greeted by the serial killer's actor. Golden hair dyed with pink tips, rose-pink eyes that shone brightly, and a smile that was so alluring and magnetic it was hard to tear your gaze away.
Yeah, this is the guy Jess was talking about.
I will hear Jess out, very much so.
Wait a minute. Blonde? With pink tips? Who else is somebody that Jess really likes that's blonde with pink tips? Aw, does she like this guy because he reminds her of Brittany? That's so cute!
Golden hair dyed with pink tips, rose-pink eyes that shone brightly, and a smile that was so alluring and magnetic it was hard to tear your gaze away. He almost looked like an actual angel. He's known as Ares.
Ares? Ares?
Besides being an actor, he's also a singer and a model.
Wow, sounds like a big shot.
He's also Jess's favorite actor. Did you know Jess owns the biggest fan page for this guy and has been recognized by him and many fans?
Oh, she's a super fan. That's so cute. I love anyone who's passionate about something. Really? That's quite an achievement.
I agree.
With a face card like that, how can anyone not fall for him?
Don't tell me he's your type.
My type is very, varied. I mean, wood, absolutely, but also Crowe, but also soul, but also many, many other weirdos that I have on my list. I mean,
bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
Oh, really?
Hey.
You can do better.
Hey! I didn't even say anything.
Crowe merely puffed his cheeks, refusing to meet your gaze.
Don't tell me he's jealous. That's actually pretty cute. Well, there's no way in heck I could even make it to the same level as an idol, so don't worry your head over it.
No, Jess can have that guy all to himself. I've got these two collective... Hold on. I've got these two collective heads of knuckle to deal with.
The room fell silent afterwards, with neither of you uttering a word. As the television becomes background noise, you unconsciously fiddle with your fingers. You found it difficult to focus on the movie as you start feeling conscious of the male beside you. There's a handsome young man who happens to be my best friend in my house. From your peripheral vision, you try to discreetly check up on Crowe, only to realize that his whole attention was already on you. Your heartbeat races.
Hey, Espoir, if you could have anything in the world, what would it be?
Lots of money to pay off the debt so my father's farm doesn't get taken. Or maybe a PS5. Another one of your little trivia questions, Crowe? You laugh lightheartedly, attempting to ease the atmosphere. Yet Crowe didn't seem to be on board, so you shut yourself up quickly. You bit your lips as you felt Crowe leaning in close to your face, his breath brushing against your cheek. The movie becomes a muffled and incoherent noise as the rapid beating of your heart floods your eardrums. Why don't you answer first? He chuckled lowly, sending a shiver down your spine. Crowe surprises you when he rests his head on your shoulder, the intimate gesture making your heart stop. Before you could say anything else, he buries his face into the crook of your neck, making you freeze. You prayed he wouldn't hear just how loudly your heart was beating.
Dodging the question this time, huh? Well, if I were to have anything in the world, I'd love to have more time. More time to be with you. More time to spend with you. Kind of selfish of me, huh?
At this point, you aren't sure if he's talking to you or with himself. You glance at Crowe from the corner of your eye, noticing his downcast gaze. He smiles at himself, but all you could see was that desperate expression he failed to suppress. You did not dare ask what was wrong. At a loss for words, you chose to remain silent. You stayed in that position with Crowe for what felt like a minute, the hurt on his beautiful face replayed in your head. You swallowed and lifted a hand, gently placing it on the back of his head. You relaxed when you felt Crowe ease up on your touch. Taking that as a sign, you proceed to stroke his hair, brushing along his now soft and dry locks between your fingers.
I should probably get going.
Already? He pulls away and looks at you straight in the eyes. Multiple swirls of emotion fill his dull eyes. Drowsiness, uncertainty, longing. Just say that you are madly in love with me, Crowe. Gosh dang it, both of you and soul. Ugh. I know this is supposed to be a slow burn, but come on, guys. You're gonna use up all your yearning. With one last exhale, Crowe finally gets off of you and stands up, a few groans escaping his lips as he stretches his limbs. With his hands on his hips, he gives you a smile. You couldn't shake off the feeling that it was done just to reassure you.
The rain is slowing down a bit. Plus, it's getting quite late. I haven't contacted my relatives yet, so they might really be worried by now.
He's so cute, gosh dang it. Gosh dang it, I'm sorry. I put my foot down, soul, I'm sorry. But I think I like Crowe more. Stop killing him. Are you sure you don't want to stay the night? You want to say it so bad. You really, really want to. But you couldn't. Yeah, not with soul climbing through your window. You shouldn't. You clench the fabric of your shirt above where your painfully beating heart lies. You're probably right. Let me get your clothes from the dryer. I'll see you out.
Thank you, Espoir. You're the best of the best.
Are you sure you'll be fine, Crowe?
I've already called my driver. I'll probably get an earful from him, but that's all right. They're probably going to question me about Regulus, but I'll think of an excuse.
I'm sorry I couldn't keep him with me, Crowe.
No, it's all right. I already know who would be the perfect cat owner for them.
Oh. With the kitten cradled in his arms, Crowe did a mock-up face of a grumpy person, exaggerating his expression with his cheeks puffed and shoulders raised. You could only make a wild guess on the mysterious identity. It was a shame that your apartment had a no-pets policy, and the fact that you know absolutely no one who could take care of the kitten. After talking it out with Crowe, he decided to take the kitten with him. Thankfully, you had a few spare boxes lying around, and you gave one for Crowe to place the kitten in. Today's been fun, Crowe. His brows raised in mild surprise, then a soft smile painted his features. With his dominant hand, he ruffled the back of your head, messing your hair a bit and earning him a chuckle. Hey now.
I had fun too, Espoir. See you tomorrow?
Yeah, see you tomorrow. You moved to close the door, but stopped by the sudden sensation of something soft landing on your forehead. Your eyes travel up, realizing that Crowe had just given you a tender kiss near your brow. While your face heated up, your brain short-circuited at the feeling of his soft lips lingering on your skin.
Good night, Espoir.
He gives you a casual wave, Regulus peeking out of his box to give you one last look, as if bidding you goodbye before you finally closed your door. That tease? Oh, I'm gonna give him the biggest smooch in front of everybody. Uh-oh.
She's finally back, huh?
Whomst? Uh-oh.
Come on, Regulus. Let's go home.
What is this development? To be continued. Okay, so poking around a little bit more to see what's new.
Instead of going to the movie theater, if you chose to go to the arcade, I think pretty much the same thing as the last video happens. Where you meet some jock bullies and they try to beat you up, but Soul beats the ever-loving crap out of them. And after that, you're understandably shaken up, so what if you let Soul walk you home? Both of them looked at you in surprise. Hyugo seems to disapprove of your choice, while Soul's whole demeanor shifted from shock to cocky as he slowly turned his head to his shorter friend. You heard her. Hyugo, I can handle this. I can walk Espoir home. Espoir trusts me. I want you to trust me too. Hyugo looks at his friend in wild disbelief, almost as if offended by what Soul said. You took notice of the way his fists tightened, causing his veins to bulge out from the force he exerted. Eventually, he gives up, with a sigh. Hyugo turns to you. If it's fine with you, Espoir, then I can't force you. Hyugo walks away. You and Soul stare at his back until his figure becomes smaller, and the light post no longer illuminates the path that he walked on. He's got to take care of some business. Is he always like that? Is he good? Rubbing the redness away from his eyes, he turns to you. Like what? Like, really bossy, especially towards you. I thought he's the happy-go-lucky type. Guess you can't judge a book by its cover. Soul didn't say anything. His gaze lingered on the now empty path where Hyugo had been headed. He takes your hand and wraps his fingers around yours with a smile on his face. He looks happy. What matters is that you're here with me right now.
Oh.
Shall we get going?
Oh.
Please excuse the place's condition right now. I didn't expect a visitor to come this evening. You said with a bit of a chuckle, rubbing the back of your head as you welcome Soul into your apartment.
I don't mind.
Soul eventually takes a step inside your apartment, but didn't go a step further and remained at the door. Soul's figure was a bit stiff as he lingered by the entrance. Maybe he needs some convincing that it's all right to come in. Or he's a vampire and he needs to be invited in. Taking hold of Soul's hands, you led him to the living room and made him sit on the couch. Upon taking his seat, Soul placed down the horse plush you won for him on the table beside him. His whole demeanor, however, still remained rigid. He's still in fight mode. You don't need to be so stiff, Soul. Just make yourself at home.
Sorry. I'm just not used to being in other people's spaces, much less their homes.
Really? Not even Hyugo's? Soul just shakes his head. You begin to ponder. However, your train of thought was cut short when Soul started flexing his knuckles. That's right. Stop what you're doing and wait here. I'll go grab a medical kit. And don't you even dare strain your fists any further.
You don't really have to do all this, Espoir.
You tutted, placing your hands on your hips. My house, my rules. Plus, I did insist on treating your wounds. Soul didn't say anything, but just let his hands relax. He still looked stiff, but through your words he loosened his shoulders just a tad bit. You hurriedly ran to your room and into the bathroom connected to it, and took the first aid kit before returning to the living room. Once you returned, you took the empty space right beside Soul. Hands.
You say that like I'm some sort of dog.
Despite his remark, he did as you told him and showed you his hands. Taking his hands in yours, your eyes furrowed at the gash and a few blisters adorned on his once pale knuckles. Taking a disinfectant and a piece of cotton from the kit, you lightly dabbed the formula onto the cotton. This might sting a bit. Soul didn't say anything. Taking it as a sign to proceed, you gently dabbed the cotton on the bruises on his knuckles, earning a few hisses here and there from him. You did the same to his other hand, but this time he was silent, seemingly used to the stinging pain. After disinfecting the wound, you took out some gauze bandages and wrapped it around his knuckles. You were busy wrapping the bandages that you failed to notice how he kept looking at you while you were patching him up. You only realized this when you finished wrapping his hands. You looked up, and your eyes met with his reddish-orange orbs. orbs that reminded you of summer daisies of a rare breed. But the word summer doesn't really quite fit him. Instead, he reminds you of the harsh and cold winds of fall. Despite his icy exterior, he's shown you nothing but warmth, like a fuzzy scarf to shield you from the freezing autumn winds. He hasn't let go of his hands from yours yet. Kiss his knuckles? Why not? In this instant, we're going force food. In this instant, we're going full soul. And also, kissing a boo-boo has been shown to help. Science proved that. Science says so. You have no idea what made you do what you did next, but you raised his hands in yours and pressed your lips on his bandaged knuckles. Hee. He didn't jerk his hand away, but the look of pure shock was displayed on his face. His face went red while his eyes grew wide like saucers. Sol lets out a low and nervous cough, tilting his head to the side in a shy manner. I'm not a kid anymore, you know. But it makes you feel better, right? Science proved it. Science says so. Of course, it could be someone whose first name is Science, but they said so. You let out a chuckle. His silence was enough of a confirmation. You eventually let go of his hands and pouted when you did. You stood up from the couch. Your gaze lingered on his sitting figure. Do you need anything else, Sol? A cup of water, perhaps? No, there's no need. Oh, come on, Sonny. A brow raised with mild curiosity at the familiar nickname you uttered. Sonny? Yeah, Sonny. There was a slight pause. The air was still. You felt nervousness starting to crawl up your skin. Am I not allowed to call you that? You rubbed the back of your neck. Sorry, I guess that's quite too bold of me to casually give you a nickname all of a sudden. No, it's just that I'm used to hearing that from Hyugo's mouth. Well, only from Hyugo. How about calling me something else? You don't mind a nickname? If Hyugo's going to give me one, why not you? Yes. Uh-oh, you don't want to give me this sort of power, Sol. Honey. Hee. Honey? Hee. Yes, honey. Quite fitting for someone like you, huh? You're sweet and sticky? You nudge and wink at him. Sol merely smiles and shakes his head. He looks up at you and admired your face. Sure, Espoir. You can call me honey whenever you'd like. Now that that's done. Hee. With a hand over his heart, he gives you a knowing look, gaze serious as if he's about to make a vow. Let me repay your kindness, Espoir. Hey, you don't have to, Sol. It's the least I can do as your friend. No, I insist. I can make you dinner tonight if you'd like. That won't be necessary. Before you could protest, however, you could feel your stomach rumble. The sound was loud enough to be heard, which earned a low chuckle from Sol. I can cook. Not on my watch, mister. Your hands need to rest. I'll do the cooking. Before Sol could retort to insist on cooking, you pulled him up from his seat and started pushing him towards the kitchen dining room. Is there anything you'd like and don't like? Nothing, really. As long as it's from you. But really, I'm fine. You've done enough for me already, Espoir. I'm just doing this to return the favor. You shake your head no before forcing him back to his seat. Sol sighed and gave up, propping his elbows on the wooden table as he looked at your figure. Happy that he complied, you turned to stare at your kitchen sink. What the fluff are you gonna cook? Do we even have food? You've never had a guest before. Heck, even Crowe has never entered your apartment. And you had no other friends to even call over to hang out. Are you really this lonely? While you were in the middle of fighting your own thoughts, Sol hummed a tune. You hear him drag his chair to stand up, and you soon find his tall figure now looming behind you. He held his hands behind his back as he inspected your cupboards. Seems like your kitchen is quite empty. Well, it's not completely empty. Reaching out towards the cupboard above you, he pulled out a box of curry powder and gave it to you. Oh, this could work. I'll look forward to it. An idea then struck you. What if you help me make that cute food like the ones you made this afternoon?
You mean the bento box I made for Hyugo? I can. But does that mean I can work in the kitchen?
Not a single finger. Sol merely pouted. He placed the box of curry on the counter as he crossed his arms and leant on his back, his gaze not leaving your figure.
All right, Pumpkin, let's see what you've got. I'll lead as you go.
Using your phone, you searched up how to make a simple curry, checking the list of ingredients that you thankfully had on hand before preparing everything on the counter. Sol checks around and lets out an approving hum. He begins by telling you to prepare the ingredients. Thankfully, you have most of it lying around. You wash the potatoes and carrots, and proceed to peel the skin off one by one. Sol still remains right beside you, his arms now crossed as he observes. I'm just thinking. He starts channeling his inner Gordon Ramsay. It's fluffing raw! When you set aside the vegetables, however, he suddenly takes out a knife from your knife holder along with your chopping board, then moves to chop the vegetables. You were about to protest, but stopped yourself when he gave you a side-eye, a smirk on his face as he cut them neatly and in equal sizes. Thank you, I'm really bad at doing that. He has experience, and he made it clear. Show off. After cutting them, he sets the chopped vegetables in a bowl as he awaits the rest from you. I could have handled it on my own, you know.
Yeah, you can. But what if I'm stubborn like that?
Well, at least this makes the work faster. You eventually finished peeling the carrots and took the knife from Sol, shooing him away and taking his task. Sol complied and went back to leaning on the counter. You looked at the perfectly cut potatoes and carrots. Did he make flower-shaped carrots? How did you do this?
Do what?
This. It's so cute.
Do you want me to teach you?
Wait, let me do it first. I want to see how I can replicate it. I'm gonna end up cutting my hand, aren't I? Grabbing a piece of the sliced carrot, you try to replicate the flower-shaped carrots Sol did. However, every time you managed to cut one, a piece of petal would fall off. Again, and again, and again. Hey, that's how you learn. Ah! You placed the knife down, lifting your sleeves up and continued on. You were too focused on trying to cut a piece of carrot to fully realize that a large piece of bandaged hands were now on top of yours. Sol Sol's figure loomed behind you, his torso pressed close to your back as he leaned his face right next to yours. His breath fanned your cheeks while you stood frozen. You can feel the heat slowly rising up to your cheeks.
Calm down. Let me help you.
With his guidance, he leads you with utmost care.
Don't cut too much. That's how you managed to accidentally cut off a petal. Do this instead.
You couldn't focus. Your heart was beating too fast. The rumble his chest makes whenever he speaks echoes through you. You can feel his heartbeat as well. It was beating as fast as yours. You let him lead you, like a puppet to its master.
There. This looks better.
You were too distracted by his overall presence that you didn't realize how the once round carrot was now in the shape of a blossom. It only hit you once he stepped out, his arms around you gone, and he was off of your back. You looked down at the masterpiece before you. Ah, you make them so pretty.
I think you can make them prettier. Just follow what I did.
That's the problem. I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't paying attention, were you?
You avoided his gaze. He lets out a chuckle.
I can show you again.
I think that's all right. We're running out of carrots anyway. Just need to chop the rest of the potatoes and we're done prepping. Please don't do that again.
Want me to help with the potatoes?
Sit down, mister! I'm panicking here. While you were cooking, with Sol's aid and instructions, of course, the said man took the honor of making orange juice, claiming it was less of a risk. Since he kept on insisting to help, you let him be. Soul sets the table while you turn off the stove. The curry's aroma fills the dining room. The curry was hot, and steam rose from the pot as you carried it by the handles with mittens on your hands. You then set it on the table. Soul sat across the table. The orange juice he had in a pitcher now settled on the table, as well with 2 glass cups. You sat down on your seat as well.
Thank you for the food.
Oh, it's so cute.
Thank you for the food.
Itadakimasu.
Wow, this smells so good. I still don't think I've ever made proper curry before. Without wasting time, you took a spoonful of the warm curry and rice, blowing the steam away, then plopping it into your mouth. You let out a joyful hum. Soul just chuckled as he ate his own portion of curry. You should write down the spices you made me add. I didn't think they would taste this good.
I'll list them down once you're done eating.
He looks so pretty here. Gosh dang it. Why can't this scale just be equal? Couldn't argue with that. You discard the dishes in the sink after dinner. You and Soul sat in the kitchen for a while, somehow finding yourselves talking about food as you drank what was left of the orange juice. Soul still making himself comfortable on the dining table.
I can send you a few of my favorite dishes if you want to try them.
That would be great. I'd like to learn more from you if given the time.
Of course. Anything for you, Espoir.
Soul smiles at you. You looked back to what happened today and how much he's been with you. Yeah, the scene where he rescues you in the bathroom is quite heartwarming. But that's in the other video. I just skipped over it because we already saw that part. From making you feel safe to making you laugh to actually protecting you. And now he just casually helped you make dinner, even though you just bandaged his wound like any other normal person would do. Cooking with him, dining with him, it all seems so domesticated. Like you and him are married? I mean, he already calls me Pumpkin, and I call him Honey, so... You took another swig of the orange juice, chugging it down to the last drop, catching Soul by surprise. Hey, I like orange juice. You feel your heartbeat quicken, and the familiar warmth of your face heating up again. You let out a yawn. Oh, excuse me. What time is it?
It's 8:45.
That late already? I've been taking too much of your time, Soul. You still need to go home. It's a school day. Tomorrow. Orange juice? Did you put something in my orange juice, Soul? Did you put Hyugo's sleeping pills in my OJ again? Stop messing with my orange juice! You rub your eyes. Another yawn escapes your lips.
No, don't worry about it too much, Espoir. I feel quite happy you let me in and treated my wounds. Not to mention sharing dinner as well.
Soul wanted to say something, but he stops himself before he could utter the words in his mind. Instead, he leaned closer. His eyes were half-lidded as he looked at you expectantly. Uh-oh. Why are there 3 of them? Your head is getting dizzy. You don't think that's suspicious that you're falling asleep in front of your guest right after you chugged your orange juice?
You seem tired, Pumpkin.
No, I'm fine. I'm so sleepy I'm missing the dialogues. Let me get you the door. Your eyelids felt heavy from the sudden creeping drowsiness that wrapped around you. You rubbed your eye, trying to shake off that heavy feeling. Uh-oh! Your hand lost its strength. Something slipped, and glass shattered on the floor. Beyond your fading vision, you caught Soul's smile, his hand pushing away the glass of orange juice that had been never... Oh! His hand pushing away the glass of orange juice that had never been touched. Soul, listen. I'm gonna make a meme of you always spiking my orange juice. Come on, don't let this man near your orange juice. Soul? Gosh dang it. Now it's from his perspective because I'm all passed out. He looks at her figure, now passed out on the table before him. He turns to stare at the pitcher, half filled with orange juice, as he crunches the packet of pills into his pocket, the very same packet Hyugo gave him before coming into the apartment. Taking the pitcher of his glass of orange juice, he drained it all out and placed them into the sink before returning to Espoir's side, not minding the shards of broken glass he's stepping on. He gently lifts Espoir's hand, then drops it, and just like a motionless rag doll, she remained unconscious. A smirk makes its way to his face. He gently placed his hands on her shoulders before leaning in close to her neck, taking a deep inhale of her scent. He shivers in delight. He gently wrapped Espoir's arm around his shoulder before carrying them in his arms like a groom to his spouse.
Let's get you to bed, Pumpkin.
Don't you call me Pumpkin when I'm unconscious. He entered Espoir's room, seemingly familiar with the layout as if he's been through here multiple times. I mean, if you want to casually break in, just knock first. He carefully walks towards the bed and gently lays Espoir down on her duvet. The corners of his lips turn upward, his eyes twitching. He then proceeds to lie down next to her sleeping figure, wrapping his arms around her abdomen and pulling her body closer to his, spooning her in the process. He buries his face on her neck. Like before, Soul inhales Espoir's scent like an addictive perfume. Soul! Soul!
Oh, my darling Espoir. I feel so flattered that you trust me so much, despite just meeting me yesterday.
I know, right, Daisy? The nerve of this guy.
Isn't this enough proof that you're always meant to be mine, and I was meant to be yours? Your soul resonates with mine.
He makes himself comfortable, his arms still wrapped around, keeping his gaze on the apple of his eye. A wicked smile still settled on his face. He snuggled closer, hearing Espoir's steady heartbeat through the veins of her neck.
I love you so much, Espoir. I want you to realize. I want your soul to realize. I know that it'll take some time, but I'm getting impatient, sweetheart.
You don't have to worry. I trusted you after one day. I drank your orange juice.
When will you realize?
He asked under his breath, as if hoping for some answer from the sleeping woman caged within his arms. The only answer you're going to get is... I don't snore. I don't think so. But only her soft and steady breathing filled his ears. He tightened his hold around her. His eyes didn't flutter shut as his thoughts kept him up till midnight.
Someday, one day, Espoir, you'll learn the truth.
To be continued. You could just tell it to me now while I'm asleep so that even though Espoir in the game doesn't know, but this Espoir will know. What's going on here, you two? So that was the current update for The Kid at the Back. If you would like to follow this developer, there is a link in the description to this game, and you can also follow their Patreon for even more updates. Well, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like, subscribe, or interact in any way that is comfortable for you. And I'm happy to say that we're well on our way to 100,000 subscribers. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Take care of yourself, have a great night, and remember, there is always hope.